Hey, good morning, my Teaserking family. Good morning, Bobby. Um, just back from buying silver. Good man. So I get a text today from my lifeguard friend who we talk gold with at the swim club. And she says $1 equals 55 BRICS dollar. I think it's the other way around. I think one BRICS dollar buys 55. I said, what about gold? She said, BRICS will be backed by gold. It will roll out in November. I said, where did you see BRICS 55? She starts explaining BRICS, which I've already talked to her about for 6 months. This is why China buying so much gold. Yeah, we get all that. BRICS will dominate. Yeah, we get all that. I says, I think it's one BRICS equals $55. Sounds more like it. She says, yeah, that's what I meant. So one BRICS buys you $55. That's huge. I mean, right now, like a dollar buys 0.90, 90 cents Europe. But the ironic thing is $1 buys you 100 rubles. I know because I just sent Daria her allowance. So I sent her, $100 buys her 10,000 rubles. And she's having a real good time because we figured out like what her rent would cost US when it was back to like 55 to the BRICS dollar. And now it's up to 100. So she has a good time when I give her the same amount for rent, and rent's, so she only needs half and the other half. So she went out buying, they went shopping yesterday, her and her daughter. So I watched Alligator yesterday. Pretty good show. Better than normal. So we can talk about that. My day at the gold store produced this. So I got 4 ounces. I got 2 maple leaves. And Bobby, your favorite, I got the Philharmonic and the Cougaran. So I'm diversifying my portfolio, as you can see. This is really cool as an ounce, and this I have a lot of. So I added 4 more to the party. They had about 10. I could have got more. They had 1 eagle, couple more Cougarans. They had 1 eagle and a half-ounce eagle. This is, aren't you buying the half-ounce eagle? I go, no, this is the week I buy the ounces. Next week I might buy the half-ounce. But it was like $11.50 for the half-ounce. Where last week I bought the half-ounce Philharmonic, and it was only $1,022. This was like $11.50 for the U.S. So I'm doing well. So he had gold, he had silver. He says to me, by the way, I think something's going to happen big in a week or two as far as gold price and everything. And I says, well, no, this week's fine. It's BRICS is coming up the 20th. And that's when you're going to see gold really looks like gold's going to jump. Silver's going to jump at that point. So we talk a little economics. I don't think he understands as much, but he likes to hear it. Anyway, so I was happy. So this was basically IRA money, as I told you. I Sunday night, I moved it. I got the email Monday, we're moving it. Tuesday, in the bank, 9:05, the bank opens. I'm there pulling the money out into the safe. Now it's safe. They can't bail me in and say, we can't give you the money, Howard. So no problem there. Money's safe and sound. Then I run to the gold. He's got plenty of gold. I could have bought 10 ounces. So I got 4. That was a nice little present. and I still got money in the bank and money in this. Well, money, a little money in the bank and a lot of money in the safe, which is good. Then we talked about this. He had a strange Jackie Robinson, not a normal card, but one of those platinum cards or whatever. I don't know what they are. There's a little in a box and a frame and a little thing. He says, so we have a card. So I says, well, are you interested in the real card? I'm not sure if he's interested, but I can present this to him. You can see very mint, very centered. And we saw the PSA 10 Willie Mays for $75,000. If this is a PSA 10, and you can see there ain't nothing wrong with this card. This is a beautiful card, beautiful corners, and it's Mickey. So I think he was interested, but it's not graded. So if Willie Mays is $75,000 for a PSA 10, add a zero to this as a PSA 10. Maybe more. It could be $1 million, but I'm not going to, I'm just hearsay. It's just based on it's Mickey. It's a PSA 10, which I would assume in this, there can't be more than 20 of. So again, supply and demand. I'll be happy to take 50 grand for this in gold. I'll be very happy to do that. Because this is a 10, maybe it's a 9. A 9's probably worth 75, 100 grand. But I'll take the gold now. So anyway, my friend from the pool, she goes to me, I'm going to start buying gold. And I said, laugh out loud, I've been telling you this for what, a year? She says, I've listened, I just didn't have the money. So she just got married all of a sudden. Yeah, I got 2 grand. How much is 2 grand buying me? I says, 1 ounce. It was like a Bobby. It was like, shake my head. It's like, fuck, that's it. I said, well, put it this way. When it hits 50,000 an ounce, you'll be really happy you bought 1 ounce. That's the whole point. Now she goes on TikTok and she reads this, that the BRICS is coming. And in November, they're coming out with the BRICS currency. And I don't know where she got the 1 brick equals $55, but that's fine. So basically, that's the end of the dollar. So to answer Luke's question and Bobby's and Nick's and everybody else, you get till about November, I guess. Because once BRICS hits and it's $55 to buy 1 BRICS, what would you rather have, the dollar or BRICS? With the dollar going down because it's not backed by gold and the BRICS is backed by gold. So what would you rather have? Of course, you'd rather have gold. So that's going to create, there goes your stock market, there goes your bond market, there goes your housing market, because it's all in foreign money. And the kicker is BlackRock wants to sell to get out because they know what's going to happen. So it's going to be everybody selling. It's going to be a fire sale at the stock market. This is why I agree to buy gold stocks, but not until the shit hits the fan. Once the shit hits the fan, then go buy your stocks. That's fine. Anyway, right now, what you do is do this, because this has been price fixed and can only go up. So, well, let's talk football first, I guess. I'm in a football mood. First, I want to show you a video that I haven't seen yet. But Bobby, I'm sure you're going to be interested in this. That is if I can find it. There was a one on should Barry Bonds get into the Hall of Fame, and they're asking Johnny Bench. Where the fuck did it go? All right, we'll have to do this. All right. This is a 5-minute thing, so let's. I haven't seen it.
Comments by Barry Bonds that he said he's vindicate. Well, Marvin, would you play? He's on a podcast. He was talking about the Hall of Fame.
People have to understand something is that the fact of is that I was vindicated. I went to the court. I was in federal court, and I won my case 100%. Where is the vindication of me and my own sport? That's what bothers me.
What do you think as a Hall of Famer? Should Bonds be?
It should bother him. It should bother him. You know, it's the same thing with McGuire. They had it and everything else. We all assumed we did. We found Dandro or whatever it was at the time, which definitely wasn't illegal supposedly in those days. I think Roger's been in that same situation. There's questions about certain Hall of Famers that basically may have used. There's shadows that have been around. It seems like there's a selection process of who. Okay, let's get these 3 or 4 or 5 guys: A-Rod, Barry, Roger, Mark. Let's get these guys, and we'll make them our guys. And yet there's some where there's questions about. You have no questions. I mean, you know who there might be, who was shadowed and everything else. And I think that as long as whether the courts have done it, or whether we're going to be the fact that he's guilty forever, sounds like, okay, I've been there, I've done that. He's speaking out, saying, what do I have to do? The courts are.
But if they weren't testing, Johnny, at the time.
What's that?
If they weren't testing for steroids, that's what Bonds is saying. Baseball wasn't tested.
Well, that was the thing that really came out during the time that when cocaine was a part of it. Marvin Miller was really detested basically by owners because Marvin Miller was a guy who, as part of the Major League Baseball Players Association, he was sort of delaying the fact of when the testing could be because I think he thought that if the players were actually using, they needed to do something in order to get them off of it. Let's give a year or 2 and take that long. They're blaming Marvin for what became the steroid era, and I blame the trainers because or physical trainers, whoever your guy was, the PT guy, because he's putting the stuff. I call it the blender era. I think it's when you're saying, hey, I want to develop muscle. I say, okay, let's put this powder and I'll put this shark stuff in there and we'll blend it. And then the guy next to you is bigger and stronger. And he said, well, what's he doing? Well, he's using this other powder. And if you went to GNC at the time or wherever certain places were sold, 80 or 90% of it had the drugs that would actually build muscle and do stuff and performance enhancing. And then, they said, well, what about now? And then they said, well, he takes a B12 shot or he takes whatever shot. And guys who may hit 12 home runs, next year they hit 40, all of a sudden they're making from 3 million to 13, 15 million. And it's hard to say that these guys, at this point could give a flip about what, they have the money in the bank. They improved themselves. We all went, everybody to be bigger, stronger, better. And so they use that as a crutch. But when you start putting your stuff in the blender and started getting certain things and developing health, I'd have been I'd have loved to have stuff. I mean, you catch 154 days in a row like I did through one stretch, you would have loved to have had something that would, revitalize you and get you to the next level. And so we've gone through these different things in baseball, the greenies, the amphetamines, all the stuff that went along with it.
All right, we got the idea. So Barry should definitely be in with all his home runs. And why is steroids such a big deal? Bobby, 2 weeks away from Notre Dame. Yeah, we're getting close. So, how to analyze pro football. Here we go. So I saw CJ Stroud had a real good opener. First pass, pick six. That's Ohio State football. This is what I try to explain. Where's he on? Houston? Yes, it's BS. Professor Barry should be in. Well, so should Pete Rose. I mean, he bet as a manager. Pete Rose had 4,000 hits. There's no reason he shouldn't be in. And then some of the guys they're putting in are like a fucking joke. Especially the NFL one. We never heard of these guys. I saw Stroud highlights yesterday. Yeah, I saw the good pass. So CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, 2 of 4 for 13 yards, and the interception for a touchdown. And then he runs twice for 6 yards. Yeah, he's the third pick in the draft, second pick in the draft. Now here's what I do now to get a flavor of what's going on. Davis Mills goes 9 of 12. CJ Stroud 2 of 4. Who are you going to start? Bobby, I agree, Professor. Next thing you know, they're going to pull Drew Carey in their Hall of Fame like WWE did. Well, maybe they should put Hogan and Ric Flair in their Hall of Fame. Like the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, Macho Man used to play minor league ball, so he should go in. All right, so here's Zappy, 12 for 14. Todd McSorley. See, now what I don't understand, okay, here I get Houston. Stroud starts, throws a pick six because he can't read defenses. It was such a bad pass. He throws it behind the receiver, and the guy just, the safety's like, his eyes light up. It hits him right in the chest. He scores. This is the problem with Ohio State quarterbacks. This is what we see with Fields. They can't read a fucking defense. He didn't know the safety was there. How does CJ Stroud not know the safety's there? Because they don't teach it at Ohio State. So you're getting Ohio State quarterbacks that have no fucking idea how to read a defense. Therefore, they suck in the pros, and it's not like they can be taught. When you hit the pro level, either you can read a defense or you can't. Davis Mills, he sucked at Stanford, 9 of 12 for 99 yards. The other thing I look for, Casey Keenum, 9 of 14 for 79 yards, but Mills 9 of 12 for 99 yards. There's a big difference, right? He got 99 yards for his 9 completions, and CJ Stroud got 13 yards for his 2 completions. So he's so baby checkdowns. Stroud sucks. So if Stroud is to start, we bet heavily against whoever they're playing, or we bet heavily against Houston. Now, New England, on the other hand, Zappy, 12 of 14, but he only gets 79 yards on 12 completions. Mills got 99 on his 9. Does he have? He has no touchdowns, no interceptions. And that's all. Malik Cunningham, 3 of 4, but, for 19 yards and McSorley. So what I'm looking at is, what do they gain on it? Davis Mills is clearly the best quarterback on Houston and should start. We will see. This is the big thing. Now, if they start Stroud, they're not going to get to midfield. But we're going to take advantage of them being idiots, right? And New England should start Zappy. But if they start Jones, fuck it. So I hope they start Jones against – I would prefer them starting Jones against Philly, because then we know Philly's going to shut him out. If they start Zappy actually could win the game. Or they can bring back Matt Schaub. Yeah, they could bring him. They could bring back Brady. Absolutely. Then I look, the running backs, I don't, nothing. One guy, Boone, I never heard of. New England, Malik Cunningham, the quarterback, 5 for 34. Shows you how bad a shape New England is. Then I look at receivers. You can't really tell. So that's the first game, Houston, New England. So we're going to go through Seattle, Minnesota. All right. So let's we don't really care about the scores. We're looking at the stats. So Minnesota, Nate Mullins, 14 of 20, 139 yards. Not bad. Jay Hall, I don't know who this guy is, 6 of 14 for 37 yards. So Nick Mullins, I think he played at Iowa or one of the Big Ten teams, and then he went to the 49ers. So that's already better than Cousins. 139 yards, 1 touchdown, without Jefferson on the field, mind you. Now Seattle played Drew Lock and a real good quarterback, Ehlers from East Carolina. He was really good at East Carolina. He was 4 for 4 for 43 yards. Drew Lock from Missouri, 17 of 24, without Metcalf and Lockett. So pretty good. Minnesota, I don't know their running backs. Seattle did play Zach Charbonneau, 4 for 14. He'll be one of the starters. DJ Dallas got hurt. He's 2 for, he didn't get hurt yesterday. He's been hurt. He's trying to get back. Receiving, Rieger from Minnesota. And then that's it. So no Jefferson and no Hawkinson and the other guy, the other receiver. Seattle did play Smith Najiba, 3 catches, 25 yards, and 4 targets. So Charbonnet caught 2 for 14. So again, they're doing all this without their starters, or without Jefferson. Cousins, they do better without Cousins, but without Jefferson. Without Jefferson. Green Bay, Cincinnati. Now I'm noticing. So I noticed Seattle didn't play their starting quarterback. Neither did Minnesota. God knows they both need it. But now here comes Cincinnati. Of course, Joe Burrow doesn't play. Now Sean Clifford, 20 of 26 for 200 yards. He had a big day. 1 touch, 2 picks. Jordan Love, 7 of 10 for only 46 yards. So note, 7. Clifford's 20 for 208, right? So he's throwing down the field. He's effective. We'll go back to chess. He's using the bishops and the rooks. Jordan Love, 7 of 10 for only 46 yards. And I believe he did throw a touchdown. So 7 of 10, 46 yards. That's he's throwing what? 7 times 7. So he's throwing 6-yard passes. He's just throwing dinks, maybe a little over the middle. So he's not really effective when you read it. But he did play as he should have. This guy should play every preseason game. God knows he needs the reps. God knows he sucks. So 7 of 10. I would rather have Clifford, 20 of 26 for 208. Fuck, the guy threw for 10 yards of completion. He's throwing the ball downfield. That's what you want. Cincinnati, we know Burrow wasn't going to play. Trevor Siemian from Northwestern, 15 of 28, 121. And Jay Browning, I think he's from Louisville, 10 of 17 for 95 yards. Okay, I don't have a problem. Obviously, they're not going to use that. I don't know if they're going to win with Siemian, but you got to get both these guys' experience. Rushing, E. Wilson for Green Bay, 6 for 111 and 2 touchdowns. That's I got to check that guy out. A. Dillon, that's Corey Dillon. I don't know who A. Dillon is. And Cincinnati had Chris Evans, I guess, the actor, 7 rushes, 49 yards. So he had a decent day. We know they got Mixon and they got the other guy, I want to say Purdy, but we know who we're talking about. Again, it's Burrow and Chase, so we're not really interested. Receiving, I don't know any of these. I think Jones, the running back, caught 1 for 6. Watson, 2 for 6. So they're getting him a little playing time. And then Cincinnati, now you're not going to see Chase. You're not going to see Higgins. You're not going to see. So really, one guy, Izovis, 450. Lassiter, 6 for 33. C. Brown, 3 for 33. So Lozovic and Lassiter are wide receivers based on their number. So overall, Green Bay wins 36-19. But let's go into the box score and Emmanuel Wilson rushed to the right for 80-yard touchdown when it was 30-19. Emmanuel Wilson rushed to the left for 11-yard touchdown. Cincinnati's kicking field goals. Green Bay kicked. Sean Clifford passed to Tyler Davis, touchdown. McPherson kicked another field goal. Tyson Anderson intercepted Clifford. A lot of field goals by Cincinnati. Again, you don't have Joe Burrow out there. So that's about what you got. A lot of field goals for Cincinnati. So we really can't take anything out of it. It's Love. We saw a bunch of short passes. Are we sold on him? No, but we'll see. We'll see next game. The Giants and the Lions. Now, this is, I threw up listening on the radio, going to swim, and then I got barbecue yesterday, Bobby, about the receiver, what's his name? Jamal Williams, the guy from Alabama, who sucks, right? They want to see how he's going to do. Go watch Alabama games against LSU, Georgia, Clemson. Watch him in a big game and see how he does. Don't watch him against Arkansas State and New Mexico. Watch him against good competition. But Alabama plays a lot of shitty teams. So he gets 2 catches for 18 yards. Longest was 11. And he had 7 targets, which means he dropped 5 balls. Yeah, superstar. He's a superstar. I can see that. So they make this big deal about him. And he sucks. And we know he sucks. He's from Alabama. You got Chase, Jefferson, whatchamacallit, from Beckham from LSU. Who do you got from Alabama? Tufts in prison. Ridley sits out for gambling. This guy gambling. A lot of gambling going on in Alabama. Julio Jones had a pulled hamstring for 5 years. You got Devon Smith at Philadelphia, who dropped the pass that wasn't challenged. And you've got Waddle, who wasn't any good until they got Brown. So, the guy from Kansas City, Hill, I think. So why are Alabama receivers? Why would you take this guy in the first round? And then let's look at the other guy from Alabama. I know he caught some passes. I can't remember his name. Gibbs. Gibbs caught 1 pass for 18. And Gibbs ran 6 times for 19 yards. Yeah, that's your first pick. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, get him out there. Now, here's the funny part. The Lions picked up Adrian Martinez, the guy who sucked at Nebraska, as their 4th-string quarterback, because they got Goff and then they got Bridgewater. Apparently they signed him. Nate Sudfeld, who sucks. And here's Adrian Martinez. The fuck are you even bringing the guy in? What in the world would make you think this guy, he couldn't even be a college quarterback, would be a pro quarterback? What are you wasting time for? Why do you have Nate Sudfeld out there? Get rid of these guys. Bridgewater should have played. Maybe he didn't know the playbook. Why not? Imagine betting on these preseason games. Oh yeah, you got ribs last night. No, I got chicken last night. I get barbecue chicken and I bring my Ken's French dressing bottle in with me. And the girl looks at me and I go, I can't eat this barbecue sauce. It gives me gout. It makes my feet. Every time I come in here and I pour it on this, the salad comes with regular Kraft French dressing full of high fructose corn syrup. And the ribs are full of the sauce. And I put a lot of sauce on. And I said, so I got a salad. I put my Ken's on it. I got the barbecue chicken. I put the Ken's. The potato, I use Ken's. I'm basically with Ken's French dressing. I says, there's no high fructose corn syrup in it. And I didn't get the low-cal because there's aspartame in it. And I just drink water. So I feel pretty good today. And, but it's scary. I go there and I'm like, fuck. So I got the barbecue chicken, and it's good as you get a big salad and you got potato with it. So it all comes with it. It was only $13.99. The salad was an extra $1.50, and that was it. So I get that. Instead of the ribs, it was like 23 now for the ribs chicken combo, but I don't want the ribs. It's not worth waking up today with gout again. So yeah, Chinese for sure today, but that was good. And I was celebrating. So I have, 4 ounces of gold, and it was a Friday, and it was payday on Thursday. It's funny, I got paid Thursday again. So the one week they fucked up, they didn't put my time in time for Thursday. I got it on Friday. But now, after he said that, now it's Howard's time in. So I'm getting paid Thursdays, which is what I thought. Felt good just paying straight cash for silver instead of JM bullion overcharging. Very cool. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, JM bullion. I caught that on eBay. If you go on eBay, SD bullion's much cheaper. There's a Liberty coins now, but keep in mind you need a store, because at eBay they're charged for the auction or the sell, so they mark it up. So in other words, it's 2000, and I was looking at my maple leafs, right? So I got 2 of these yesterday, and I paid $19.99 for them. And I looked on eBay, they're 20, 30, 20, 40. So I'm saving $30, $40 because I'm going to the store. There is no auction to pay. There's no tax because I'm in Michigan. And it's cash sale, so nobody knows who bought it. So this goes into the collection with the rest of the boys, and I love it. So nice purchase. So I still have a little bit in my IRA, not a lot, and I don't want any in there. I'd much rather have gold, especially with BRICS coming out in next week, and then they'll announce they're going there. And if it's 55-1, so if what she says, I says, where'd you hear this? She says on TikTok, and I'm like, but do you believe the guy? In other words, when you watch me, you believe what I'm saying. When I watch Alligator or Aegon, I believe what they're saying. When I watch Reichert or Rule or any of those morons, I don't believe a word they say. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So you got to be careful who you're listening to. This guy here only got buffaloes and bars. Well, what's his price? And are they ounces or half ounces? I don't know. Maybe I can go back to the other store. I went to this guy because it's very nice area, and he was more down to earth than the other guy who cries when I touch his coins. Oh, yeah, that reminds me of yesterday. Yeah, Bobby, I mean, it's to me, it's the best price. I mean, if the guy who cries, you don't have to touch his coins, just as long as they're in this. I don't touch the coins. My guy's got them in little plastics, and I make him take it out of the plastic and give me these. So I buy it. And he gives me this. So when I come home, it's already in plastic. I don't fuck around with it. This one was a real big one. This one was a real big size, the Philharmonic. But when I saw it, I liked it. I kind of joked, I'm differentiating, Austrian, and I got a lot of maple leaves. I pulled out the collection yesterday. I'm not a stacker, I'm a collector, and I pulled out the collection, and I added up I put all the ounces by country, and I got I think I got 21 US, and then I got like 17 Canadian and like 12 Cougarans, and then I had 2 of the Philharmonics. So they're coming up the rear. But I'm diversifying my portfolio into different country gold. That's about as diversified as I want to get. I do not want to own one stock. They are going to crash very soon now, especially once BRICS is there, and if it is really 55-1, and I trust my friend, I'm not sure I trust her source, but if they announce that and it comes out in November, what would you rather own? Would you rather own dollar backed by this, or a dollar that's hit the Titanic that's half flooded. And who wants this? And don't kid yourself. All the central banks are buying this for a reason. They're not buying dollars. Nobody will buy the bonds, the treasury bonds. We need to pay our debt. Nobody is going to buy the bonds but the Federal Reserve. So we're buying our own money. How does that work? You can't buy your own money. Anyway, let's get back to football. I think, unless you have I watched the Mark McGuire show. Yeah, it was pretty similar, although I liked at the end when he's saying about gold and, it's going to blow out. COMEX is done, and here's that. So it was a pretty good show. I learned a little bit about the COMEX stuff. Most of it we'd already known. And I made comments, but I don't think they allow much comments because mine were not showing afterwards. It might take a while, or they might be the top. Let's take a look. Let's see Bobby's comments. Let's see.
Roofers are furious about this new product that's going viral. Replace your whole roof in as little as
to pay a premium, even with a weak ruble, over deeply undervalued London spot gold to get it.
Andrew, you had a little teaser ahead of the BRICS summit. Can you share with us?
Yeah, Shane. I had to pay a premium, even with a weak ruble, over deeply undervalued London spot gold to get it.
Andrew, you had a little teaser ahead of the BRICS summit. Can you share with us?
This is weird. When I go to comments, it says no comments yet. So I'm trying to refresh it.
BRICS summit. Can you share with us?
Yeah, Shane, it's just a little teaser ahead of BRICS Summit on the 23rd to 25th of August. Now, I'm saving a very important announcement until our next episode, which will be released during the BRICS Plus Summit. This is big central bank news. That's all I'm going to say right now, guys. So hold tight. But this brings us on to the BRICS Plus currency developments.
Well, I just added this comment right now.
Exactly.
I don't know why it's saying no comments. It does allow me to comment.
Much suppressed mainstream media, BRICS Plus gold-backed commodities currency developments. What are you hearing?
I don't know. I'll try refreshing, but mine took. So normally there's a lot of comments. I'm surprised it says no comments, but I think I need to refresh it. And maybe they're not allowing comments because when people like me say, your show sucks with guests on, we only want to hear Mark McGuire. We want his opinion. We don't want to hear his guests who are a bunch of fucking idiots. So maybe they took comments down. I don't know. But my comments showed up. We will see. All right. Back to football. So Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor were the quarterbacks for the Giants. And I go, I know Tommy DeVito. He played at Syracuse, and then he transferred to Illinois, and Illinois was a really good team last year. I'm fine. He's better than Sims or Jones, whoever their quarterback is. Is Phil Sims still their quarterback? He's better than Jones. I would much rather have DeVito than Jones all day. Why isn't Jones in here playing? We saw Love playing. We saw Russell Wilson playing. We'll get to that Denver box score. So DeVito's money. Now the question is, why is Tyrod Taylor playing? See, this is where you got bad coaching. Why isn't Jones out there? You got DeVito, who's a better quarterback. He might get injured. You know what? I don't think they should have anybody out there because they might get injured. And I think when the regular season starts, they shouldn't play any of their players because they might get injured. They should save themselves for the NFL draft and the college draft and the NFL playoffs. I think that's what they should do. They shouldn't play any of their players because they might get hurt. It's such bullshit. It's unbelievable. Here's Detroit. Nate Sutfeld, 15-28. Adrian Martinez. Why is he on the team? Did you not watch him at Nebraska and see he sucks? Did you not see that? If he sucks at Nebraska, what makes you think he's going to be good in the NFL? This is what the brain capacity of these GMs are fucked up big time. All right. Rushing. Some guy named Corbin, 3 for 40, and that's it. Detroit. Some guy named Ozebo, 11 for 31. Benny Snell, I like from Kentucky. He's Matt Snell's like nephew or something. So it's Uncle Matt from the 68 Jets. He, I thought, was a very good running back. Better than the guy drafted. Then they got Ibrahim from Minnesota, 4 rushes for 9 yards. I think he's much better than the Alabama guy they drafted. So you got these running backs. These are your starting running backs. I don't know what you're doing with these other idiots. Gibbs is nothing. Gibbs did not gain 1,000 yards for Alabama, and he caught 20 balls. I don't get why you would have drafted him with the first pick. Unbelievable. The Giants receiving, they got Cole Beasley from Buffalo. They got Sills, I think, from Houston. Crowder. Pimpleton from Central Michigan. He was always good at Central. Matt Breida from the Niners. So overall, not too bad. Again, this Jameson's going to be a flop. This receiver out of Alabama, just like Tufts, just like Waddle, just like Smith, just like Julio Jones. They're good in college because they run a fast scheme where they're wide open and they look very good playing Arkansas State and New Mexico and Princeton and Dartmouth. But they don't appear against Georgia or LSU. Against teams with professional defenses, they don't show up. Same thing with their quarterbacks, same thing with Ohio State quarterbacks. Put them against a good defense, they don't show up. So I just don't get it. All right, Atlanta, Miami. Atlanta 19-3. Let's see what happened here. We got Logan Woodside, who's very good from Toledo. 14-23, 146 yards. There you go. 14 for 146. And he has no touchdowns, no picks. Well, no picks is the key. Skylar Thompson, what the fuck is he doing? He sucks. And Mike White, who was on the Jets from, I think, Western Kentucky. I don't mind him. Skylar Thompson sucks. Rushing, Igwe Buki, 13 for 70. Washington, I don't know, 12 for 27. Woodside 1 for 5. So they've already got that other guy from last year. And then apparently the guy from Texas is like third string. He's not all that. He's good against Oklahoma and Baylor and Texas Tech, but not in the pros. Miami, Myles Gaskin, 7 for 57. That's about it. Receiving, X Malone, Arkel Whiteside, Washington, Fisk. I never heard of half these guys. Miami, Myles Gaskin, 2 for 20. Never heard of any of these guys. So what is the point? What is the point of putting out T. Croft? What is the point of C. Coleman, 1 catch for 12 yards? What is it that they're out there for? They're not going to make your team. If you can't tell they suck in practice, then you don't know what you're looking at. It's the same guy that's Scott Frost, the Nebraska head coach. Joe Burrow wants to transfer out of Ohio State. Goes to Scott Frost. How about I'll play for you? He says, well, you're no good. You'd just be a safety. And Burrow says, oh, fuck you. I'm a quarterback. Goes to LSU, and Scott Frost gets fired because he can't spot talent. Ohio State should get fired because they can't spot talent. You've got Joe Burrow on your team. You got him as third string because he doesn't run the ball like C.J. Barrett. or JT Barrett, and then Fields. Burrows is 100 times better than those guys. Yet you can't see it in practice. You have the guy in practice, but you run a fucked up offense, and none of your quarterbacks will ever do any good in the pros because you don't even pick the right guys. Unfucking believable. All right. Pitt and Tampa. Pitt 27-17. Now, Pitt played Pickett. This is when a good team, right? Mason Rudolph, 7-12, 132. That's fucking impressive because on 7 catches, 7 passes, he throws for 132 yards and a touchdown. Kenny Pickett, 6-7, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. Tanner Morgan, I don't remember where he's from, but I remember the name, 5 of 8. Okay. And Mitch Trubisky. Now, Mitch Trubisky was a starter, never should have been. He's not very good. I think you got Pickett as your starter, and I'm not sure about that. I'd rather have Rising or Van Dyke or any of these guys. And then you got Rudolph as your backup. Trubisky, I'd get rid of. And Tanner Morgan, I need to see more where he's from. Tampa Bay, Wolford, 10-17. I don't remember where he's from. Kyle Trask, my guy from Florida, 6-10 for 100 yards and 1 interception, which the interception could have hit the receiver's hands and bounced out. And then Mayfield, 8 of 9 for 63 yards. So Trask completes 6 passes for 100 yards and Mayfield 8, and he only gets 63. So Mayfield's just dumping the ball to the receivers and the tight end. Not using your chess pieces very well, Mayfield. Trask is the better quarterback here. Mayfield's played, but Trask is better talent. Problem is you got the worst coach in the league coaching, so he's not going to be able to determine. So Trask, I would just go with Trask. He's my starter. Mayfield, you're the backup. That's what I would go. Or maybe with this Wolford guy. I got to see where he's from. Anyway, but look, Trask and Mayfield, that makes sense in your preseason. You're playing your quarterbacks. You're giving them game speed experience against pro defenses, and Pickett also. So this is meaningful. What the fuck are the Lions? They didn't play golf. They didn't play their guys. The fuck are you doing? What are you waiting for? Oh, you won't play them in the preseason. They might get hurt. Well, what if they get hurt in the first quarter of the first game? You're fucked. All right, rushing. I know I've heard D. Higgins, 5 for 15. That's about it. Anthony McFarland, was he from Arkansas? 3 for 18. Tampa Bay, Edmonds, Tucker. Never heard of these guys. Receiving. Austin the third, 2 for 73. Haywood, 2 for 30. See, they had some big plays, right? He throws to Austin, 67-yard play. He throws a 24-yarder to Haywood. He throws a 33-yarder to Pickens. That's what you want out of your quarterback. Use your bishops. Use your rooks. That's what our man Lamar doesn't do. Lamar will never have a 67-yard pass because he wants to run the ball and he couldn't hit the receiver to get a 67-yard pass. That's Lamar. Doesn't use the whole chess pieces. And we will see. They're playing, I think, today. Tampa Bay, I don't know. D. Moore, Krieger, Wells. Too many nobodies on Tampa. They're going to have a long season, Tampa, with that coach. Washington 17, Cleveland 15. Scott Frost Scott Frost played quarterback for Nebraska, went to UCF, went undefeated, then coached Nebraska. So when Burrow was at Ohio State, he was third string. That's how smart the coach is. So he goes to transfer to Nebraska, and Scott Frost is the coach at Nebraska. And he goes, well, can I transfer? He says, you're not a quarterback. I'm going to make you a safety. Burrow tells him what he can do with it and goes to LSU, where he is the best quarterback since Joe Montana. And Scott Frost gets fired because he's got Adrian Martinez, and he's too stupid to get off of Adrian Martinez. He can't see talent. He can't see skill. Ohio State can't see skill, and they've been in deep trouble ever since. They can't beat Michigan now, and they certainly can't handle Georgia or Ohio State or whoever else, or Alabama. So now with this weak quarterback system that you have at Ohio State, the numbers look good until you play Michigan and Georgia and, Alabama, whoever you play, Clemson. With this style quarterback, you can't win. You need Joe Burrow style. Ohio State doesn't know what they're doing. That's what I meant, Bobby. All right, we got it. I love this box score. Thompson Robinson from UCLA, 9 of 10 for 102 yards and a touchdown. Watson goes 3 for 3. Joshua Dobbs, what the fuck is he doing there? He's the guy that cost Tennessee the playoff game against Jacksonville because he didn't see the blitzer. He could barely complete a pass anyway. He's 8 of 16, and then Kellen Mond from Texas A&M is nowhere near the quarterback that Thompson Robinson is. So Watkins should have been playing a lot more than 3 for 3 for 12 yards, mind you. No touchdowns, no interceptions. So, and the only guy that got sacked, of course, through the interception and got sacked was Joshua Dobbs. So why is Joshua Dobbs even playing? Is he really your starter? What this shows me is Thompson Robinson's better than Watson, but he's a rookie. We can't go ahead. We're paying Watson all this money. Bullshit. Thompson Robinson, as I said, you don't put up 45 points a game in the Pac-10, beating USC, Utah, Oregon, Washington State, if you're not good. Thompson Robinson should be the starter there. Watson, do whatever the fuck you want. I'd trade him and get now, but I wouldn't replace Thompson Robinson necessarily with Rising or Van Dyke or Hartman. I would replace Watson with those guys, but if you got Thompson Robinson, and he's 9 of 10 against Washington, which has a pretty good defense, although we don't know when he was in. Let's see if we can find out. Thompson Robinson in the third quarter, pass to David Bell, 7-yard touchdown. That was it. So he was in the third quarter. But he's 9 of 10, but for 100 yards. Deshaun Watson, 3 of 3 for 12 yards. It's amazing. Washington rushing. Now Washington's quarterbacks. Sam Howell, North Carolina. Jacoby Brissett, Florida, who's been, second stringer. And Jake Fromm from Georgia, I believe. Jake Fromm, yeah. I think he was from Georgia. 5 of 7 for 26 yards. So are you going to – your best quarterback here is probably Jake Fromm from Georgia. He was there before my guy, what's his name? He's on the Rams now. Fromm's a good one. Brissett. Howell's the worst of the three. But, who knows? So they got 3 real backup quarterbacks. They don't have that star. So Washington needs to trade up in the draft for Rising, Hartman, or Van Dyke. Washington needs that, right? They don't have a quarterback. Cleveland's all set with Thompson Robinson. Very good. Rushing. Some Rodriguez guy, 5 for 39. Patterson, Jay Patterson. Is this the guy from Atlanta? Patterson, who's the receiver? No, this is a running back. I don't know who this is. Cleveland, Felton Jr., Kellen Mond, Dobbs runs 3 times for 11. Thompson Robinson, 3 for 11. All right. Washington's got Pringle, the guy from Kansas City, 1 catch for 32 yards. Dotson from, I think, Baylor or TCU is good, 2 for 30. That's about it. Cleveland, Watkins 6%, but it's not Sammy Watkins. I don't know who this guy is. See, again, it's hard because the starters, for some stupid reason, aren't playing. So you really don't get flavor. So basically, I'll take Cincinnati over Cleveland. Thank you very much. Not because Washington beat them, but I'm more scared of Thompson Robinson when he starts than the other guy. What's his name? Wilson, Austin, whatever. Arizona 18, Denver 17. What do I take out of this game is who started at quarterback for Denver. Russell Wilson, 7 of 13 for 93 yards. Again, his 7 completions go for 93. He's got 1 touchdown and no interceptions. Ben DiNucci, what is he doing out there? 7 of 9. And Stidham from Auburn, 5 for 15. So he's playing Auburn football, 5 for 15. DiNucci, I don't get. And then that. Arizona, Clayton Tune, David Blau, and Colt McCoy. This is so we're betting Arizona under week 1 if this is Clayton Tune, David Blau, and Colt McCoy. Clayton Tune was 13 of 23 for 135 yards, 1 touch, 1 interception, 3 sacks. Rushing, Perrine is not on Cincinnati anymore. He's on Denver. That makes me like Denver a lot more. Arizona, Ted Williams. I thought he was dead. 10 rushes, 51 yards. Cody Clement, 6. I don't remember where he's from. Receiving, Jerry Judy's out there, 2 for 40 and a touchdown. There you go. That's Russell. That's Sean Payton. You don't fuck around. Russell Wilson starting. Jerry Judy's out there. Sutton's out there. That is the difference between a winning team and a losing team. You got your fucking starters out there. You need the reps. You need game speed. You can't take batting practice against the thing. So that's everything from yesterday. We'll go over today's games tomorrow. So we got Indy Buffalo, and I hear my buddy Richardson starting for Indy. Let me guess, 2 of 10 for 4 yards and 2 picks. But he'll run 9 times for 10 yards. They think they can run in the pros because they watch what Fields did, and they go, oh, we'll just run. We can't throw. We can't hit the broadside of a barn. And the best part is Indy's laying 3.5. If only this was regular season, I think we'd have a lock on Buffalo as a home dog to Richardson. I still like, Allen's not playing, but I guess this is an under if Richardson's going to see time. Now, why Deshaun Watson, 3 of 3? So he played the first series. Why isn't he playing the whole first quarter? The dude hasn't played in 2 years. Played in 4 or 5 games last year, and he sucked. What the fuck are you doing? What are you 3 of 3 against Washington, and that's it? Oh, he's tired? Oh, he didn't get hurt? Dudes, this is football. Everybody gets hurt. They got to suck it up. Will they get a knee injury? They could get a knee injury going out of the shower. I mean, you can't pussy these guys. It's unbelievable. I think YouTube is banning certain comments of mine. Yeah, you told me that before. What did you say, Bobby? Or you can't tell me because they'll ban them. Try to write it here and then let me know if that went through. Did you call him Mark McGuire maybe? Yeah, but then every comment that anybody left on Mark McGuire's show got banned because there's no comments. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, so today, Indy Buffalo. Richardson's the starter. We would bet heavily on Buffalo if this was the regular season. Tennessee, Chicago. Now, this will be interesting. We wonder who Tennessee's quarterback. I guess it's probably still the guy, Tannehill. Chicago's got Fields. That's a shame. See, why didn't Chicago draft Thompson Robinson or the guy in the Rams? God, I'm having a mental block on my Georgia quarterback. Or Hainer. I mean, God knows they need a quarterback. See, this is the problem. They draft Fields. He sucks. But then instead of drafting Thompson Robinson in the 3rd or 4th round and see how good he is, although he probably wouldn't be that good for the Bears because they suck. But that's the problem. So I'll be curious of this box score, who the quarterbacks are. Now, Fields should play the whole first quarter. God knows he needs work. Lamar Jackson needs work. God knows these guys need work. The Jets in Carolina, will Rodgers play? I don't know. He should. Just like Russell Wilson. That's the difference. That's a winner, right? Sean Payton comes in. I'm playing Judy. I'm playing Russell Wilson. You're fucking playing. That's how and why he goes to the playoffs every year. He doesn't fuck around. He gets his players ready. That's the coach's job. What's the Lions idiot doing? Oh, I was listening to the game on the way to barbecue on the way home or on the way somewhere. Oh, I was going to the lake. And it's 4th and 1 at their own 32 early in the game, and the idiot goes for 4th down. Throws a 17-yard pass that's incomplete, and he gives up. So he already he's going for it on his own 32, 4th and 1, and then he doesn't have the brains to do a 2-yard pass. One of those, crosses. He throws a 17-yard pass that's incomplete. Unbelievable. Yeah, well, Mark McGuire might be. Barry couldn't say anything. Bad enough he banned from the Hall of Fame. Now they're banning the guy from YouTube. All I wrote yesterday was saying, "Good job, Mark McGuire." Then I told his viewers to watch this class. That might be why. You can't promote me on it, I think. So it's how did you write it? But yeah, if you if it depends how you wrote it. If you just said the Teaser King, but don't say better teaching of economics. Say good economic. I don't know how you would say it, but if you're promoting me, like you can't, like teaching economics, I think will not get posted. I'm not sure. I always say go to my channel, but it's because it's YouTube, it says the Teaser King leaving the post. So I say go to my channel to really learn. So I'm not sure. I do appreciate that, Bobby. I don't know. I'll leave a comment, go to my channel to learn real economics. But I thank you. Yeah, I know there's a rule like I can't promote your site if you had a site, you're selling something. But it's how you word it. You can say for good economics, or say I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the professor Teaser King or something. There's probably a way to say it that's not promoting me, but it is promoting me. But I'll give it a try. But that's what I usually say. And I'll put it right in their faces. I'll go to like Rick Rude or Rickard and say, go to my class to learn Austrian economics. I did that to Maloney, and I know I did that to Rude. And Rick Rude went, and he basically, next time I watched him, he says, "Oh, I'm not an economist. I'm a credit analyst." I'm sure he read my shit, and he said, "Fuck." I'm sure that's why you haven't seen Maloney, because I've gotten his ass and said, "You are a fucking idiot. You don't know anything about economics. Stop pretending and stop putting charts out there." Charts don't work. How many charts do I show you? 0, because there's too many variables to say this is what happened in 2008 or this is what happened in 1929. We don't need charts. We talk plain fucking English, and we say, look, here's supply, here's demand, here's Say's Law, here's Adam Smith, da-da-da-da-da-da. Everybody understands it. We didn't need a chart to explain if the demand's not there, you can't make an electric car. That's it. We didn't need a chart. And by the way, they're having problems selling any of them. Nobody wants them, especially into this high interest rate environment where it's so expensive to even buy one. This is not the time to be trying to sell cars. And this Tesla is going to go down to zero because this idiot's building into a market that you think he's smart, Elon Musk. He's a fucking idiot because he doesn't understand Austrian economics. Therefore, he doesn't understand inflation. And therefore, he doesn't understand inflation causes high interest rates. Therefore, he doesn't understand this is not the time you sell a car because nobody can buy one because they can't afford it. Oh, I'm going to produce 1 million vehicles a year. Well, you ain't going to sell any, but go ahead and produce it. You can go lose all your money. And then I'm going to show you something on Warren Buffett that will just make you just laugh. Hey, Luke. The only Rick Rude I know is referencing Rick Rude. Well, that's what I call Rick Rule. I call him Rick Rude. Arrogant motherfucker who doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't want to insult Rick Rude. But, I'm not going to call Rick Rule Rick Rule. That's never going to happen. So I get a text today, Luke, that the answer to your question, your long-lived question, we're looking at November. And I get a text from my buddy at Swim. She's a supervisor, and we talk gold and silver and economics and everything. And the text said, November, the BRICS currency's coming out. One BRIC dollar will be worth 55 US dollars. That's the end of it. Because what would you rather have? The BRICS dollar, that's 55 times the US dollar, or the US dollar. Nobody will want it. They'll dump it. They'll buy this. So this is my afternoon yesterday, Luke. 2 of these and 2 of these. That's how I enjoy my Fridays. So there you go. No, I didn't want silver. I can put these in my pocket, go to Switzerland. Gold will be 50,000 an ounce. I can walk home with, I can't even walk home with 200,000 because God knows what the US dollar will be worth by the time gold gets up there. So I'll just, I'll buy a house in Switzerland or something with one of these. What would that price do to the price of gold? What do you think, Luke? Do you think demand for gold would go up when the gold-backed currency is now priced and takes $55 to go up? So you can answer your own question. It'll zoom up, and it's not going to be like 2,000 to 2,500 to 3 to 35. It's going to be 10 to 15 to 20. My guess is at least it goes to 10 at first, and then the fever comes in like it's Christmas and everybody's shopping for gloves that they don't have, and that's going to make it jump. So, like I was telling Bobby, the guy had. He had about five of these. He had about 5 of these. He had 1 Eagle ounce and 1 Eagle half ounce. And I took this one. This was the only one he had. This is how I diversify my portfolio, as I said earlier. A Philharmonic, an Eagle, a Cougar Hand, and a Maple Leaf. I'm diversified. That way, if one country goes out, I'm covered. No, it doesn't matter. It's all gold. This was a weekend of metals as the professor and myself bought more. Absolutely. So we're talking football now. So Tennessee, Chicago, probably Fields should be playing the whole first quarter, but I doubt he will because he might get hurt. Even though he can't hit the broadside of a barn, he might get hurt. Well, that's the best thing that could happen to you, Chicago. Get the first draft pick and draft Rising, Hartman, or Van Dyke, and you'll be in business because you ain't gonna do shit with Fields. The Jets and keep in mind who beat Fields out. The Georgia quarterback, my guy. What the fuck's his name? God damn it! Why can't I remember my Georgia quarterback's name today? Let's see if I got it in the Rams. No, I got Stafford down. Fuck. Killing me. Georgia quarterback, Stenson Bennett. There you go. Bennett, not Benson. Benson's the butler. So he wins two national titles, beating Ohio State, TCU, Michigan, Alabama. He's not good though. He can't run like Lamar can. And the Rams already love him. They're ready to get rid of Stafford. So if I'm the Bears, maybe I trade for Stafford. I don't know, but the problem is when the Bears coveted Fields more than they're going to cover, you have a chance at Hartman and Rising and Van Dyke and Jefferson from Arkansas and the kid from UTSA. And I know I'm missing Penix from Washington and Williams from USC, who I don't love. He's an Oklahoma quarterback. It's the system there. And you're going to keep Fields when you got 10 quarterbacks I just named are much better than Fields. Fucking look at, like I said, Thompson Robinson yesterday was 9 out of 10. Get rid of Watson. If Cleveland had a brain in their head, they would trade Watson to the worst team, Houston, I guess. Although Houston's got Richardson or Indy's got Richardson. I would trade Deshaun Watson to Indy for the number 1 pick in the draft because God knows they're not going to win any games with Richardson. And then I can draft Hartman, Van Dyke, Rising, whoever I want. Jefferson's going to be a good one. It doesn't matter. This is Frank Harris from UTSA. He's a stud. Come on. You're going to keep with Fields and see. And the thing is, Indy won't get rid of Richardson. They're fucked themselves for the next 5 years keeping Richardson, who sucks. What is it that he did at Florida that makes you think he's any good? Oh, he had a good combine. He ran fast in T-shirt. That doesn't make you a quarterback. Tom Brady runs a 15-second 40. Yeah, it really mattered. Montana, I'm sure, was not much faster. You don't need speed at the quarterback position. You're not trying to make him a running back. You're trying to hit the receivers. You want to play chess with the full set, with the rooks and the bishops and the knights. The knights are the tight ends. Stenson Bennett. Oh yeah, Bennett. Stenson Benson. Yeah, Stenson Benson. I know who you meant. That's a Bobby for you. All right, so the Jets in Carolina. Bryce Young's gonna suck. The Jets. We got Rodgers, and then they got the other kids, so the Jets will be fine. Now, Carolina should be playing their guy the first quarter. See, Sean Payton knows what he's doing, so what does he do? Russell Wilson and Judy start and play the first quarter. That's your example. If you don't do that, you're an idiot. That's why Sean Payton goes to playoffs, goes to Super Bowls, wins Super Bowls, and your coach is a fucking idiot because if you play not to get anybody hurt, you're not going to win. You think Lombardi and Bill Walsh sat there and said, nah, we might get guys hurt? Fuck. Look at Jerry Rice's practice. He ran up mountains like every day, like for 10 miles up the mountain near the practice facility. The guy was the best. He wasn't. Did you think he worried about getting hurt? And even when he got hurt, it didn't bother him. He just kept playing. Montana broke his back, still played, until he broke his hand in that Leonard Marshall hit. But you get injured. You need practice. That's the only thing. You need game speed. Not this practice bullshit. That's what kills you. All right. Jacksonville, Dallas. Let's see who Dallas is smart enough to bring in. They should definitely, if I'm GM of Dallas, I trade Prescott now, and I'm going to draft Rising or Hartman. Then I'm going to show up in the Super Bowl, not this bullshit Prescott who just too many interceptions. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. This is the scenario I'm talking about. This guy sucks. You got him out there. You're not drafting Hartman and Van Dykes because you got Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence can't hold a candle to these guys. The only guys really better than them are Joe Burrow and Mahomes, of course, and Rodgers, and a few other quarterbacks are in the league of what's coming. These 5-6 quarterbacks are way head and shoulders above what's playing now, especially a Prescott who sucks. So what, Dallas, what are you going to do? Again, you're going to get killed? I'll be interested in their backups. Is Ezekiel Elliott back on Dallas? I don't know. Nobody wanted him. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence sucks. So I don't know what they're doing there. We will see. Philly and Baltimore. This would be interesting. Two running quarterbacks. Philly with Hurts. Let's see their backup. Baltimore with Lamar. We know he sucks. That's a quarterback I would trade if anybody would take him and get the number 1 pick. So I would trade him to Houston or Indy for the number 1 pick to get a Hartman and Van Dyke and Rising. San Diego and the Rams. Herbert against Stafford and Benson Stenson. So I want to see. I bet you Stenson Bennett lights it up against the San Diego defense, even if the starters were playing. Should be a good game. Oh, I love this. LA's a 3-point favorite. Well, which fucking LA? This is why I call them San Diego. I don't care if you guys get mad at me. At least you know if I call them San Diego, who the fuck San Diego is. LA's -3. Well, there's LA Rams and LA Chargers. So which team's favored? You have no fucking idea. I guess, I don't even know. They're both play at the same field. This is the stupidest thing. San Diego is a bunch of idiots for moving. You fucked up your fan base. Yeah, everybody's going to get in their car and drive from San Diego to LA. Yeah, okay. So you have homeless people out the ass, and you put up $1 billion stadium, which who's paying for it? The homeless? You're taxing them? So this will be good to see Bennett. We already know Herbert, so there's not much to see here. KC, New Orleans, we got Mahomes, and we'll see who the backup is. We'll see if Chocolatey Claire plays. New Orleans, we should see a lot of Hayner. I would bet New Orleans in this game. I don't bet preseason, but this would be one of them because you're going to play Carr in maybe a quarter, and then you're going to play Hayner probably 2 quarters. Otherwise, why waste time on the 4th-string quarterback who will never make the team? So I could see Hayner playing 2 quarters. And if Hayner plays and Mahomes don't, and Carr plays, New Orleans is going to win this game. So I like New Orleans. I don't normally touch preseason, but this is one team I like because of Carr being new and Hayner being a stud. Those 2 guys, I think you could bet New Orleans. And you're only laying 1.5. Who's KC got? I don't even know who their backup is. Kelsey and Mahomes ain't playing. I doubt it. I mean, maybe they play the first drive. But you got Hayner for 2 quarters. You got to look out. And my favorite baseball one, the 49ers and the Raiders. So I got San Francisco against Oakland. Frisco laying 3.5. I would think Brock Purdy plays a little, and then God, Trey Lance sucks so bad. Oakland has who? They got Garoppolo, who sucks. I don't know who their backup is. These are teams. Oakland's in dire need of Hartman or one of my studs. Frisco could use one too. They could probably sneak in and get Frank Harris from UTSA, or even maybe Jefferson from Arkansas if he lasts that long, because they'll be picking near the bottom. They'll be a champion team. Even Philly should get rid of Hurts for those guys. I'm telling you, Hartman's so much better than these guys, and Rising. I mean, it's crazy. And watch, they won't go first. It's like this year's draft. They didn't draft Benson, and they didn't draft Thompson Robinson, and they didn't draft Hayner. They drafted what? Ohio State and Alabama, who never have a good quarterback, and Richardson from Florida, who sucked because he can run. Yeah, how far is that going to take you? So we just keep betting against these teams. Any Ohio State quarterback in the league, I bet against, and we do pretty well. And same thing, Alabama. We bet against Jones. We bet against Tagliabue all the time. Well, Tagliabue only plays half the games. He's out. He shouldn't be playing now, I'm sure, with all his concussions. He gets one more, and he's going to be Troy Aikman and Steve Young concussion. So I don't know what he's doing out there. He's injury prone, and Hurts really just wants to run. And let's do that quarterback sneak on 4th and 1. What the fuck is that? And you keep that offensive coordinator? Fuck. Actually, I think they got a new one. Somebody I was listening to got a new one. Anyway, so that's football. So what do we learn? We learn why Sean Payton wins. He starts Russell Wilson, and we learn why the Lions lose. They don't even play their offense. So pretty obvious. Let's go to baseball. Upcoming, and today, Saturday, August 12th, we got Atlanta and the Mets. Bobby's no longer playing for the Mets because they got rid of Verlander and Scherzer, and Verlander won yesterday, so I hope you bet on it. It's an automatic. When Verlander plays, if I'm not on, it's a lock. Just bet him. They won like 10-3. Verlander outstanding again, especially at Houston. He likes Houston. Look for him to not lose a game the rest of the year. Mets in Atlanta, so we got winnings for Atlanta. 0-0 with a 4-1-5 against Denny Rees. 0-1 with a 6-1-4. Bet over Atlanta and the Mets. Atlanta's going to light them up. Atlanta's minus 225. Yeah, Atlanta's going to kill them. The Cubbies and Toronto, the Maple Leafs. We got Justin Steele, 13-3 with a 2.68 for the Cubbies. Wow. Who's this guy? And Bassett, 11-6 with the 3.87. This is an underplay. This would be a steal play, but Bassett's 11-6 with a good ERA, so he's also good. Therefore, we go under 8.5. Cubbies, Blue Jays, under 8.5. Tigers in Boston. Boston won yesterday. Matt Manning, the 5-inning no-hitter guy, 3-4 with a 5.0. He pitches a no-hitter, and he's still got a 5.06 ERA. I was listening to the radio guys cry about him, and when I'm in the car, and they're crying because they said, well, he was really good in the beginning, but I guess they figured out how to hit him. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, as I've heard before. Matt Manning, 3-4 with a 5.06. Brian Bello, 8-6 with the 3. So I like Boston here. They're a big favorite, too. Oof. The Yankees in Miami, we got Michael King for the Yanks, 3-4 at the 2.88 against Sandy Alcantara, who's beginning to suck, 4-10 with the 4.28. I like the Yankees here. King with the 3-4 with the 2.88's got the better ERA. I don't think I'd bet it under because Miami can hit, but I think the Yankees win. Cleveland and Tampa, we got Gavin Williams, 1-3 with a 2.90 for Cleveland. Sean Armstrong, 0-0 with a 1.15. McClanahan is on the IR, got hurt. Armstrong. Yeah, so he's pitched regularly. He's one of these relievers, one of these 2-inning guys. Well, with anybody else, I would ignore it, but with Tampa. So why are you pitching relievers? This guy's a 2-inning guy. Gavin Williams, 1-3 with a 2.90. Is he also a bullpen guy? No, he actually pitches 7 innings, 5.54. So he's not a very good starter, but he's got a very good ERA of 2.90. So I don't know. What do you do with these bullpen days? I guess you go under because nobody can hit because all these guys come in, fresh iron. They pitch the 3 batters and they go to the next pitcher. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. They've really killed baseball with this shit. The Twins and the Phillies, Pablo Lopez, 7-6 at the 3.81 against Taijuan Walker, 13-4 at the 3.98. I'm taking Philadelphia. And they're a home dog. Oh, I love it. So Walker's 13-4, Lopez is 7-6, and they're making Lopez the favorite. Wow, these guys are out of their minds. Oakland, Washington. Oakland's up to 33 wins. They might get to 50 by the end of the year. Luis Medina, 3-8 with the 5.47 against Jake Irvin, 3-5 with a 4.93. 2 crappy pitchers. Let's go over 9.5 here. Cincinnati and Pitt. There you go, Luke. We got Pitt. Let's see. Brandon Williamson, 4-2 with a 4.54 against Andre Jackson, 0-0 with a 5.16. I'm taking the game over. Weak pitching. St. Louis and Kansas City. Steve Matz for St. Louis, 3-7, 3.91 against Cole Reagans, 3-3 with a 3.86. That they played an over the other day. You got two weak pitchers with decent ERAs. Let's go under 9.5. Milwaukee, Chicago. Woodruff, 1-1 with a 1.65 from Milwaukee. Schulten's 1-4 with a 3.06. Let's go under here, although they're probably bullpen days. Another betting trend to worry about when there's bullpen days. How do you bet the game? California and Houston, we got Tyler Anderson, 5-3 with a 4.92 for California. Houston, JP France, 8-3. We're taking JP. He's a stud. Verlander just blanked him. Where was Ohtani against Verlander? I like JP France. Good ERA. Anderson, 5-3 with a 5 ERA. Take Houston here. Took my little guy to his first Pirates game. The oldest pitcher in the game started for the Pirates, Rich Hill. Well, that's okay. He's good. How did your son like it? It's always fun to go to the ballpark. I remember taking my daughters to it. I took my oldest when she was like 5 or 6, and the Tigers were playing the White Sox, and Frank Thomas hits a home run. And I start cheering, and my daughter starts cheering. And nobody else cheered because they're all rooting for Detroit, and we're rooting for Frank Thomas. And then everybody's quiet looking at my daughter, and she realized, oh, wait, I shouldn't be cheering. And I just smiled, going, no, that's fine. You could do what you want. We're rooting for Frank Thomas. I clapped. I didn't care. But it was just hysterical how, we got to root for the Tigers. Yeah, okay. So she had a good time. Let's see. We got a doubleheader, Atlanta and the Mets. 2 games. Spencer Strider, I like him. 12-4 with a 3.94 against Jose Quintana, 0-3. Take Atlanta in game 2. San Diego, Arizona, Rich Hill. What? I thought Rich Hill was pitching for the Pirates. 7-11 with a 5.09. See, look, Rich Hill's pitching for San Diego. That's weird. Did you know the Pirates let him go? San Diego picked him up. 7-11 with a 5.09 against Zach Gallen. 11-5. We're betting Arizona. Texas against the 49ers. We got Andrew Haney, 9-6 with the 4.14 against Alex Cobb, 6-3 with the 3.0. This is a good game. Over under of 8. Let's go over here. Texas can hit the ball. 49ers can hit the ball. And it's only 8. And I don't love Texas's pitcher, 4.14. Cobb, 6-3 with the 3.30 is pretty good, but I'm going to go over with Texas. Colorado and the Dodgers. Peter Lamont, 2-3 with a 5.57 against Tony Gonzalez, 7-4 with a 4.42. I like the game over 9.5. What the fuck? The Dodgers are minus 300 here with a 7-4 pitcher with a 4.42. You're gonna bet the Dodgers? Now go over on the game. That's a better bet. And last but not least, Baltimore, Seattle. Cole Irvin for Baltimore, 1-3 with a 5.44 against George Kirby, 10-8 with a 3. Oh, we'll take Seattle here all day. Seattle, yeah, Kirby. Luke, wow, not surprised. He had been sucking and has played for every team in Major League. That was 2 Sundays ago. Well, for some, I don't know which is stupider, that Pitt had him or that they let him go and then San Diego picked him up. So this is the problem when you have all these pitchers. You're relying on pitching, but there's not that many Major League pitchers. There's certainly not enough for 5 starters on every team and then 10 bullpen guys on every team. There's not that many good pitchers. I guarantee you that. There may be 10 good pitchers in the league and maybe 3 or 4, well, let's say maybe 10 good relievers in the league. So there's 20 good pitchers, but 30 teams have 10, 12 pitchers on it. So most of them are minor league crap. That's part of the problem with baseball right now. He's 43, doesn't throw a ball over 87. Well, he uses his cunning. He's got the cutter and the changeup working, but he calls the changeup his fastball. All right. So let's go to Mark McGuire.
What are you hearing? Now for this,
About BRICS.
A big thanks to Vadim, who I met on the streets in Zurich, for bringing attention to Sergei Glazev's update while he's on holiday in Russia yesterday. While Sergei is on holiday in Russia yesterday, where Glazev outlines, as it translates from Russian, his new method of settlement in the international trade between BRICS countries. That's his words, as translated. Now, he updates that for the participating countries are forming, as his words, are forming the experts group that are working on the new currency unit, creating a sanction-proof mechanism to settle the trades between participants in parallel to existing methods. Now, he mentions that they created a model that sets up two baskets of currencies serving two separate purposes. The first one consisting of the national currencies similar to the SDR, encompassing a balanced basket weight formation. But the second basket really has our attention, as it consists of the most liquid commodities, including gold, comprised of a basket of 20 of the most liquid commodities, from oil to grain, including a gold anchor. Now, Russia produces all of these commodities, including gold, which in aggregate will provide a stable index to benchmark a new world currency such as would suit the BRICS plus or the BRICS Development Bank, all seamlessly settled on the trustless blockchain. He also outlines what he calls a new world economic order, creating a sufficiently liquid, and this is the key, liquid world settlement currency, where these digital national currencies will be settled by bypassing banks and in turn attracting thousands of brokers to make markets, thereby bypassing sanctions. Now, not only does he discuss bypassing sanctions, he illustrates how this pricing platform circumvents the current Western commodity price setting monopoly. Now, to that end, he provided an example of the Ukrainian grain deal imbalance, where Western speculator-driven markets were able to buy the grain 2 times cheaper than they sold it for, while Africa is starving. So there's a social side to this. And Glazev says that this currency has already largely been agreed by the BRICS members, with India and China officially watching from the sidelines. However, feedback from our good contacts in Russia indicate no opposition and a readiness to participate once it's ready to roll. Now, by next year, BRICS conference will have Russia presiding over it. And it will likely formally announce these already developed new currency units being launched. But subscribers will also recall Sparebank, already trialing digitally backed gold on the Seller blockchain at the open of January trading. In fact, our very first episode of 2023 brought that to light. And we have reports that this element has become part of the process and is now fully functioning, trialed and working. And as we've been reporting, in spite of weakness in the ruble, tremendous weakness in the ruble, because of this dollar ramp and interventions, it's no coincidence that Moscow spot gold futures trade tick for tick at a $2 to $3 premium to local London gold, and that the Moscow physically settled futures market is matching an average $3 premium over the December COMEX futures. In fact, what we've evidenced in when we've seen imbalances is up to a $14 per ounce spot premium, which quickly gets arbitraged, and up to a $17 future premium which we saw into the end of the month COMEX-driven August gaming when we moved into first notice last month end. So, quickly arbitraged. It is becoming very liquid. And as we have also identified, this is enabling Indian buyers, for example, to circumvent the CME LBMA ring fence while taking full advantage of the gamed global PM fixed prices that benchmark real physical exchanges.
So what he's saying in English is it blows up COMEX, and JP Morgan holds the monopoly that keeps the price of gold down. And so everybody's question is, when does that break? And that's what he's saying. So they're already breaking it. It's got a little bit more to go. And that's why you still see $19.50 for gold and $26 for silver. Once this monopoly is being broken now, and then once it's broken, you've compressed the price for 50 years. Once it let go, that price is going to go boom. And that's what I keep trying to warn everybody about. You cannot wait. So even my friend who told me about the 55-1 BRICS dollar in November is now like saying, okay, now I'm ready to buy gold. And I'm like, well, okay. I says, I told you, I've been telling you this for 2 years. She says, well, I know, but I haven't had the money. So somehow she found $2,000 to buy gold. So I said, I told her where to go buy it. I says, or you can buy silver for $27 an ounce and buy a half ounce for $1,000. So we'll see. All right, let me jump further into the game. Fucking commercial.
Come and shop on Timo now. Recently, for no reason at all, I asked Mint.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Reynolds. I wouldn't buy Mint just because of the stupid commercial.
FX NSFR conditions will limit the amount of COMEX leverage able to be employed inside the siloed COMEX paper settled exchange, which will assist in removing one of the last levers employed to artificially suppress the gold price versus the dollar. And what this means is that the already Basel III compliant over-the-counter longs, the ones that are looking to holding the physical, specifically the bullion that hedges the leveraged COMEX shorts, so it's there, but it's hedged in a short contract. What it will do is limit the unlimited leverage to just what can actually be squared 1-to-1 against COMEX speculators. Otherwise, it impinges on the first-tier banks, which are not going to do that. As the largest published above-ground store of bullion is tracked, as we said, by the GLD illusionary exchange-traded fund, and that the COMEX positions can actually be squared, even though they're leveraged 1-to-1 against the ETF. I mean, look, it's going to create it's going to make it much more difficult to naked short this illusionary these GLD assets. So there are so many ramifications to the US becoming Basel III compliant. So pretty much in summary, gold has become a competitor for those seeking really an alternative to high counterparty risk treasuries. The Fed will have to adapt, or the dollar and bonds will reach a globally driven inflection point where, relative to gold, treasuries and the dollar debasement risk will accelerate. Well, every well-connected liquidity provider and first-tier bank we speak to assess full Basel III COMEX market compliance will be forced by the end of the 2023 trading. So the question is, where does it leave the Fed? Well, there's only one equitable backdoor other than a global nuclear war. With first-tier gold threatening to increasingly undermine US treasuries, the time will come where the Fed's only backdoor,
out of the box they've painted themselves into will be to revalue Treasury gold from $42 to market. So every other central bank has a gold revaluation account and would equally be forced to pull the trigger, creating a tsunami of demand. Now, could Glazniev's gold-backed BRICS currency, or could it be a German Bundesbank triggering a gold revaluation first, triggering every other bank to do the same? It's ultimately just a question of when, not if, this happens. Whenever the trigger point, whatever the trigger point is, liquidity providers figure somewhere close to $2,000. And once the central bank gold revaluation is triggered, the rest will be forced to follow. And the aggregated globally revalued gold price would immediately drive the offer to sell physical gold much higher. In other words, I'm not selling it to you at this price. Now, given the paper to physical structural unwind, at best estimate, we've done a lot of research and chatted to liquidity providers about this. Revalue that at 2,000, then probably you get a $500 buffer above 2,000 as the price, the paper to physical battle gets resolved. So somewhere at 2,500 perhaps or thereabouts. Then what happens? A physical gold price is going to emerge. So from this point onwards, all global fiat currencies to some degree would be partly gold backed. And the central banks with the highest gold backing as a percentage of currencies issued would relatively be the strongest currency. A higher gold price is versus the dollar, and it would turn all fiat currencies. It's going to, it would suit central banks to have a higher price. This would actually be the most equitable pushback, or indeed an alignment with Glazniev's outlined BRICS plus partly gold-backed currency. It all seems to fit together. So as a final sum up, as we progress through the thinly traded 3 weeks of August, which is kind of where we started looking, very short term, may still see some short-term official pushbacks against the US and banking downgrades. There's more to come, but we also see the downside momentum reaching similar extremes as was seen into the November 1818 lows. Now, outside the casino, T+2 physical outflows should assist in keeping dips from here on shallow and physically driven into morphing it into a sell the rally market, into a buy the dip market. So once again, we would expect that to evolve as we would. But this time, far less speculators are going to be vulnerable. And while this gold-backed New World Order develops, do you think it's a good time to be on the sidelines? The only question is, really at this point, the only question is, how much physical gold and silver do you own now?
All right, thank you.
You tell him, Mark. So if that doesn't give you the answer, gold's going to go really high, really fast because the fiats are going broke. Everybody knows it. Russia, the BRICS are coming out with gold, but the only way you can compete, as I keep saying, the only competition for this is this, and this cannot compete with this. So you have the Kansas City Chiefs here, and you got the Lions here. What are you going to bet on? This, nobody can fuck with you. I got it. I can't get attacked on Wall Street. I can't get Madoff. I can't get any problems that they say, oh, gold's worthless. That can't happen, and it's mine. You can't take it. Okay, you can maybe tax me when I go to sell it. If I need to sell it, I might not sell it. I might go and say, yeah, I'll buy your house. Here you go. And I'll have a house for this. No tax, no nothing. This is gone. As I said, this hit the iceberg. It's filling up with water. And the BRICS summit in August is the other boat that's coming alongside to take the passengers. And this boat is done. And there's no hope for this boat. You can't raise interest rates to save the boat. The boat's hit. The boat's filling with water. There will be a big recession. There will be high interest rates, which are going to kill the markets. It's going to kill the cars. Who the fuck's going to buy a car now with interest rates so high? So the last piece I want to show you, let me read these things. I can't wait for the day COMEX breaks very soon, Luke, by November. Will BRICS Summit have anything to do with that? Sure, because they're going to announce they're coming. And most people, unless you watch this class, have no fucking clue what's happening. What do? I'm in the pool. I'm in the hot tub. I'm talking to communists. Buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. And what do they tell me? I'm in Amazon. I'm in oil stocks. Da-da-da-da-da. They have no fucking clue here, right? They do in Russia, they do in Europe, they do in China, and they do in this class. So people who are smart enough to understand what I'm saying and listening, you're way ahead of the pack. As I said, I am proactive. I'm telling you what's going to happen ahead of when it happens, as I've been doing for 2 years, as I do with football. I'm telling you that Hartman and Rising are the best 2 quarterbacks to come out next year. I said the same thing in this year's draft. Thompson Robinson and Stenson Benson were the top 2 quarterbacks this year, and Hayner. And we'll see what happens with Hooker, and that Richardson is going to suck, and that PJ Stroud's going to suck, and they do. So you watch Richardson tonight, 0 for 5 for 0 yards, and he'll run for 20 yards, and there you go. Another chess player not using all his pieces. What about Alligator? Well, we know how Alligator thinks. There was an Alligator. Oh, I got something to show you, Bobby. 5 days ago, Alligator did that, but it's from a different show, and we already know how he thinks. He's in total agreement. I got to show you this. We're taking a medical break. 100 hours and no food. And you'll love this, Bobby. Well, wait, I want to get to one thing first. So you think Warren Buffett's a good investor, do you? I'm going to prove he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's his new name. Maybe he'll play better with that name. Yeah, well, we'll call him Benson. Troy Benson or whatever. Stenson Benson. I like it better. I think it'll stick. All right, so you think Warren Buffett's a good investor, do you? That reminds me of a nutrition question. How's your fiber intake? Like, what do you eat for fiber? I eat the same fucking thing I eat for everything. I have some fruit. I have all my veggies. I have my steaks, my chickens, and some salmon and ribs. I get fiber from probably the vegetables. I also have cinnamon and garlic and fish oil, pills, stuff like that. That's what I do, but I don't really track what I eat for fiber. All I know is I'm very healthy because I don't eat sugar. So really just stay away from sugar. So I'm going to read you this. You think Warren Buffett's smart. And now anybody that thinks that can say, no, he's a fucking idiot. I started omega-3. Well, it's just the fish. I have fish oil pills. So I just take the pill. Gives me all that, but I feel fine. I'm not worried I don't worry about everything. I keep my blood pressure down. I'm not really worried about what's a good fiber food. I think fish oil covers that, but broccoli and cauliflower and eggs, I'm sure are good in fiber, as well as meat, the steaks and everything else. All right. Warren Buffett. Those are fine investments, no doubt, but Buffett actually owns 40 million shares of GM. The truth is GM is well positioned for the future and more financially stable than young startup EV companies. What a fucking idiot. He acquired 40 million General Motors shares worth $1.53 billion of their The investor owns 2.86 of the outstanding. Okay, so what part does Warren Buffett not understand about inflation, supply and demand, Say's law, everything we talk about? Who's going to be buying cars right now? Interest rates, it's $8,000-9,000 a month for your car payment. And that's probably going out 6 years. I don't know, about 4 years. So Warren Buffett, the last thing you do, and I had an independent study. It's called a direct study. I took it as a class, and my thesis was basically how the Austrian theory of the trade cycle, which is what we're in, affects stocks. And so the one thing I did was, as interest rates go up, the auto stocks or any of these fixed stocks go down because they're more expensive, right? If you're going to buy a car, you bought it when it was 0% interest rate. When the rates went up, you're buying other things. You're not running to buy cars. There's no demand for electric cars, which is what GM's going for. Why would you be buying GM stock now? It shows you this guy doesn't know what inflation is. He has no concept of the trade cycle. So he makes a play that he thinks GM's a good stock, but they're not a good stock now because the inflation and the interest rates caused by the inflation are way up. Now, unless he thinks, oh, we're going to gold and therefore the inflation will come down, maybe. I would have bought gold. I wouldn't have bought GM stock because the stock market's going to crash very soon. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand the foreigners pulling their money out of the market into safe haven. He doesn't understand nobody wants to be in U.S. dollars, especially if it's going to be 55-1 to the BRICS dollar, which will be backed by gold. I mean, the guy's a fucking moron. So why would you buy 40 million shares, $1.53 billion worth, and you think he knows what he's doing? This is a pure example of this guy's a fucking moron. I'm telling you to get out of all cars. I would get out of Tesla. I would get out of, I don't know how Ford's even in business. They're losing billions of dollars because nobody's buying the electric car. God knows what they're doing with the other cars because nobody can afford it with 9-10% interest rates to buy a car. How's their stock going to perform? It's going up when nobody's buying their cars and they got all this fixed cost. This guy's a fucking idiot. Anyway, so if anybody says Warren Buffett, oh my God, just say to him, he's an idiot. He bought GM when interest rates are up and nobody's buying cars. What the fuck's he doing? Anyway, back to our guy.
Dr. Drew, my wife Susan here. We want to show you something. If you're not familiar with your metabolic type, listen closely. Achieving fat.
Hello, health champions. I just finished eating nothing for 100 hours.
So, Bobby, you're going 24, and I'm bitching at you. Here's why.
Before and after, as well as to some markers that you can track yourself while you're fasting. So 100 hours is the same as 4 days and 4 hours, obviously. And during that time, I had nothing but water and black coffee. So no milk, no butter, nothing like that. 0 calories. And as a result, I burned off a lot of body weight. So I lost about 7 pounds in that time, about 3 kilos. But as you also probably know by now, if you've been watching this channel, is that most of the weight you lose in the beginning is water. You're losing glycogen. You're burning through the glycogen, which is stored carbohydrate. And as you've used up your glycogen, then that releases water because the glycogen binds water and then there's nothing to hold it. So you flush out the water. And as soon as you start eating again, about half of that is going to come right back. But you still will burn some fat. However, weight loss is not the primary reason that you want to do this. This is a little bit drastic. You don't want to do that all the time just to lose weight. But we're going to talk about what some of the benefits are. And the markers that you can track yourself through a little finger prick is glucose and ketones. And then what you can do is you can calculate a glucose ketone ratio, a GKI or index. And in doing that, you can get a rough idea of how deep into autophagy you are. So there's no simple way of measuring autophagy. That can only be done in a lab setting with very sophisticated equipment. But you can get an idea by using this GKI ratio. And why are we interested in autophagy? It is because it stimulates all sorts of positive health effects. And one would be that it stimulates sirtuins, which are survival genes. And it also stimulates immune function, and it has been shown to be potential for cancer prevention, or even in some cases cancer reversal, because cancer lives off, it thrives in a high sugar environment. So when you fast and your glucose drops and your ketones go up, then that's a very inhospitable environment for the cancer cells, and you can actually starve the cancer cells doing that. And autophagy is also something that can extend life, so it's great for longevity. But the other big reason that you might want to consider a longer fast once in a while is that you can break through plateaus. If you've done keto, if you've done intermittent fasting, you've had some results, but then you sort of plateau. A longer fast can be a very powerful way to break through that. And if you had a plateau regarding weight, if you had a plateau regarding insulin, that maybe you monitor your insulin and you dropped some insulin, you are moving away from type 2 diabetes and you had some success, but then that insulin just plateaus, a longer fast can break through that. So very often what you find with low carb and intermittent fasting is that you will drop your glucose relatively quickly, maybe not to the exact level that you're looking for, but it will typically drop a good bit. Your triglycerides will drop, your blood fats, but very often insulin is kind of stubborn. That's one of the more valuable long-term markers for insulin resistance. So here's what happened to me. And let me start with the home markers, the stuff that you can measure yourself at home during the fast. So glucose and ketones. And we're going to measure after so many hours, and we're going to calculate that glucose ketone index, that ratio. And we're going to measure this in millimoles, and I explain in just a second. So after 24 hours, my blood glucose was 90. And the way you convert that to millimoles, because 90 is milligrams per deciliter, so you divide the 90 by 18 and you get 5.0. So now you have glucose in millimoles, so you can compare that to the ketones, which are usually given in millimoles when you do the finger prick. And at that time, my ketones were 0.5. So I was not in ketosis when I started this. If you start off being in ketosis, so that you're kind of at this level of 0.5, 0.8 when you begin, you'll probably get some higher numbers quicker. So we divide this out and we find out that my GKI was 10, which is not very much autophagy at all. After almost twice as long, 44 hours, my glucose was about the same and my ketones hadn't moved much either. My GKI was 7, so still not very significant. If you had started out in ketosis, then by 44 hours, you would probably see a much, much lower GKI. After 56 hours, though, the glucose had still not changed much, but now my ketones were really getting up in there. So 0.7 is just starting to get into ketosis. 2.4 is significant nutritional ketosis, and my ratio is now down to 2. A few hours later, at 72 hours, now my glucose is dropping a little bit. As the ketones go up, the body doesn't need as much glucose because the brain relies more on the ketones. So now the body doesn't have to engage in so much gluconeogenesis, or making new glucose. And at this point, my ketones are up to 4, and my ratio is right around 1. And they've done some research where they found that you can reverse certain tumors. And the level where that starts happening was around a GKI of 1. And very often you'll see that the ketones are kind of sluggish in the beginning, but then they really pick up speed, especially if you don't eat anything at all. And after 80 hours, my glucose was still about the same, but my ketones were up to 5.6, and my ratio now is below 1. So even more significant ketosis, and probably most likely, like, we don't know for sure about autophagy, but we can say pretty certain that that is a very deep state of autophagy. After 90 hours, my glucose starts dropping significantly, and my ketones are going up a little more. So now I'm at 0.6. And at 98 hours, just before I went to the lab, my glucose was 558 in milligrams, 3.2 in millimoles, and my ketones were up to 6.5, which is probably the highest that I have ever measured. Some people will measure up to maybe 7 or 8, but beyond that, you want to be really, really careful, because then that might indicate that you are actually having type 1 diabetes. But if that happens, if this goes even higher and it becomes a problem, then you're probably not going to see the glucose drop at the same time. And that's where it can get dangerous. So this is still perfectly healthy and normal. And at this point now, my GKI is 0.5. And I know that I probably have a very significant amount of autophagy. But then let's look at the...
So I'll come back to it in a second. This is why I tell you to fast more than 24 hours, because all these things kick in, but they don't kick in till 40 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours. So that's why if you can do that long, you can see all the big benefits you get. You've already done 24. So if you eat, let's say you eat tonight. If you don't eat tomorrow and you don't eat Monday, that's 24, 48 plus the 12 is 60. And then the 12, so you're already at 72 hours if you just skip eating the next 2 days. And if you can go 3 days, so if you were to stop Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're at your 100 hours. And, you know, I don't think you can be working. I think you have to be like Thanksgiving weekend. Well, you eat the turkey, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't eat. And then Monday, you're back to work, eating the whole office down. But basically, like he says, the autography gets real deep after 18 hours and all the little things, and you're killing your cancers and your brain's functioning great. All these things. That's why, Bobby, when you ask me about fiber, I don't give a fuck about fiber. If I do this, I don't need to worry about fiber. I want to get the autography going, which is why I tend to do 72-hour fast, is because I'm going, oh, the autography is really kicking in now. It means I'm cleaning my body. I'm getting rid of all the bullshit. And that's the problem. That's why when I have a donut, I get all, is it really hurting me? No, but it pisses me off because I know I'm bringing sugar into my body. But I think as long as I keep doing the 18-hour, like today I had 11:30, my avocado. I think that cleans me out. It's the people that eat 5 times a day and eat breakfast and eat after dinner. Those are the people that really are fucked up. Once you get into the 18-hour fasting or 15-hour fasting, your body's keeping you pretty clean because you're not putting enough shit in it to really injure it. So that's really what's happening. But yeah, I mean, I love that my stomach's thin. It hasn't been thin. I remember being like tormented by some girl in 6th grade. My belly stuck out a little, my butt stuck out a little bit. My mom don't know how to feed me. I'm eating pop and candy and everything. And so of course I'm a little bit, I never was really heavy, but chunky, let's say, or what did they call me? Thick or whatever. But I'll never forget. And then I was like, so then I move on and I'm now in, high school and I'm looking pretty good. And then I see the girl and, and I'm like, you fucked with the professor. You got to pay the penalty. So, but that's what you got. So it's just learning how to eat, eating your avocados, getting rid of the sugar, getting rid of that. But that's why I do the long fast. I'm going to move on. There's a point he talks about cholesterol, which I want to do for you, Bobby.
مسجدنا غير مكتمل ساعدنا في سبيل الله الحمد لله لقد استوينا.
Shut the fuck up.
The cells, and it's not going to change much if you're already fat adapted, because all the fat that gets into the bloodstream is going to also get into the cells relatively quickly. So that's why there's a quick turnover, and this is a very stable number. And then one of my favorite markers for determining insulin resistance is HOMA-IR, homeostatic model assessment of insulin resistance. So you take the glucose, you multiply by the insulin, you divide by 405 if you're measuring the glucose in milligrams. And a typical really good number would be 1.0. That means you are metabolically balanced, that you are insulin sensitive, you're not too extreme in either direction. And I started out at 0.7. So I was a little bit on the insulin sensitive side, but after 4 days of fasting, I was at 0.1. Now, that's not something to brag or write home about. That's just saying that this was an extreme state, that after 4 days of fasting, the body is, and the main big electrolytes, these are the ones we're looking for. And sodium agent, it's alkaline, and it helps neutralize, buffer the acid, and that's what happens. The main bicarbonate, so then you replenish and you give your body some extra bicarbonate. Fasting, about low carb, about how we have to eat bread and we have to eat, and my total cholesterol went from, you're going to
Okay, Bobby, here you go.
Your bicarbonate, and therefore my anion gap went up to 27. And that's 20 isn't necessarily a problem, even if it's a little higher than typical, but 27 is starting to get a little too acidic. So what you want to do is you want to take an electrolyte powder. And I designed a powder specifically for this. It's called Ulite. We'll put a link down below. And when I did my live stream about that powder, I told everybody that the main minerals in there are the ones that are a little harder to get, like potassium and magnesium and calcium. And therefore, I put quite a bit of those in there, along with some other things. But I didn't put a lot of sodium, because that's just table salt. And you don't have to go and pay expensive products to get sodium. You just supplement with some table salt. So what I told people is you take the electrolyte powder, and then you take some salt on the side. You always drink water and you put a pinch of salt in as you go. Unfortunately, I didn't take my own advice, which is why the sodium and the chloride dropped so much. I basically forgot about that. So don't forget about it. So basically, once you do a fast like this, you want to increase your salt, your sodium chloride, and it's also a good idea to take some baking soda, because that is sodium bicarbonate. So then you replenish and you give your body some extra bicarbonate. And you don't need a ton of it, but if you're fasting, I would probably do like half a teaspoon a day. And then we get to the cholesterol and the lipids, which is where there's probably the most misconceptions. Everybody thinks that it is a certain way, and it's kind of the other way around. And my total cholesterol went from 220 to 255. So that's a huge shock to most people, because where's the cholesterol coming from if you're not eating anything? Because we hear so much about you need to restrict your dietary cholesterol, because then that if you eat a lot of cholesterol, that raises your blood cholesterol. Well, I ate nothing, 0 calories, and mine went up. And the reason is, first of all, your body makes cholesterol as needed. The other reason is that you actually store some cholesterol in your body tissues. So as you start burning body fat, then your cholesterol can actually go up a little bit. And then my LDL went from 146 to 169. So both total cholesterol and LDL, which we hear all the time are bad, both of those went up. So does that mean that fasting is bad for you? Well, you hear so much about fasting, about low carb, about how we have to eat bread and we have to eat rice to give the brain power. So there are so many myths and misconceptions that it's not so strange if people would draw that conclusion. But these two numbers, and we'll talk about this in detail, the total cholesterol and LDL are completely irrelevant. What we want to focus on are some other markers, and one of those is HDL, and that one weighed from 63 to 76. So when we look at a ratio of total cholesterol to HDL, which is a very common ratio to assess cardiovascular risk, we see that I was at 3.5, which is a good number, and I went to 3.4, which is a slightly better number. But as long as you're in this range, then you don't really have to worry about it. And if your cholesterol is really high, like 350, 400, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are unhealthy, and then you will probably never hit this ratio, and you still don't necessarily want to worry about it. So what you really want to look at is the LDL-P, which is the particle count. Normally, this LDL is measured in milligram. It's the total amount, the total mass, whereas what really matters is the LDL-P, the particle count. And also, we want the particle size.
It happened. We got the house! We did! 2,000.
Also, we want the particle size, the LDL particles that are smaller than 20.5 nanometers. Those are the ones that can actually create some damage and that reflect a lot of oxidative stress and inflammation. So usually we hear that HDL is good and LDL is bad, but in fact, there is good and bad LDL. And what I would say normal and damaged LDL. So a healthy LDL particle should be between 21.5 and 23. They could be a little outside that range, but the majority of them should be
me too,
in that
Bobby.
range. And here's why the particle count is much more important than the actual amount of milligrams. So if we have a container, imaginary container, and we stuff that full of small LDL particles, we could fit a whole bunch of these small LDL particles in there. There'd be a high count for a given volume. And then if we had another container and we stuffed that one full with larger particles, then for a given volume, we would fit much, much fewer. So even though they might look the same, or this one might even be a little higher in terms of milligram, this is a much better situation than this, because it's the number that counts. So having a bunch of large LDL is totally okay, whereas having a bunch of small ones is not so great. So how did they go from large and normal to become small? And there are things like insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and oxidative stress. These are the main factors that will damage LDL and shrink them. Overall, we would call these three things poor metabolic health. And these things are what shrinks them and turns them from large and fluffy to damaged and potentially bad. But here's the interesting thing, that even though my total cholesterol numbers went up when I fasted and ate nothing, fasting has been shown to reverse all of this. And we saw that with my glucose, with my A1C, with my insulin, with my HOMA IR, all of those went down. And if this can reverse all of them, then let's look at what happened to the size. So like I just mentioned, my LDL measured in milligrams went from 146 to 169, which is a 16% increase. But at the same time, when we look at the particle count, it went from 1709 to 1222, which is a 30% drop. So overall, we can surely see that my particles went from small to bigger. And one more way to verify that is to count the small particles, the ones that are less than 20.5 nanometers, and that went from 351 to less than 90. And that's just how the lab reports them. When there's so few, they can basically not count them, then they just put less than 90. So percentage-wise, if you look...
So I wanted you to see that, Bobby, because I know you're worried about your cholesterol, but at the end of the day, the home run is to do their fasting. It gets rid of all the bullshit. And that's why sometimes I tell you to do more than 24 hours, to try to do a 48 or a 60. Once you do 48, 60 is nothing because you just sleep and then you wake up and it's 12 hours later. That's why I say get more than 24, because everything really wakes up and is starting to work once you hit 18 hours. So if you do 24, you're only giving it 6 hours of work. But if you can go 48 or 60, now you're letting your autophagy do a lot more and kill the cancer and clean up your cholesterol and all this shit. That's why I tell you, try to do a 48 or a 60, or like I do a 75 every once in a while. She wanted the snack down. Well, she probably did when she saw me that I was fit and trim, but I didn't want anything to do with her because I know how she really is. She's teasing me, and you don't get the professor when you tease me. Again, it's competition. It says law. If I'm looking like that, I got other girls that are nice that want me to lay the smack down on them. Luke, do I buy organic? Sometimes. I mean, mostly vegetables are vegetables. I'm going to wash my peppers, my mushrooms, my broccoli, cauliflower, eggs. I don't buy organic. I just buy, I don't know what to do with eggs. Are they farm fresh or not? I do want wild salmon and try to get hormone-free chicken if you can. The way they're making it, I don't know how any of them are still in business. Better tasted most foods, sure. Eggs, I don't really have much carrots. Chicken, yes. Salmon, wild caught, yes. Don't have milk. And then berries, I just get them. I don't know the difference. I'm getting blueberries or strawberries, and I'm just washing them, and they taste good or they don't taste good. I mean, I don't know that I think organic is what they spray it with or something. I don't know. You're not really feeding blueberries and strawberries. But milk I stay away from. I only drink half and half. Milk's not good for you, especially skim milk's very bad. Anything low fat is not good for you because of the aspartame. I told this to the waitress yesterday. I says, I can't drink the diet pop. I can't drink your barbecue sauce or anything with the low fat salad dressings because of aspartame. They give me the gout and hurt my feet, and they're very unhealthy, and they give you cancer. So you don't drink low fat. You drink regular, and then, I don't have milk anymore. I go to half and half because I don't have cereal anymore because it's all carbs and all sugar. So he does say you can have like 20 carbs a day. So my pita bread or something. I have a donut. I mean, so that's kind of my treat. But that's it. Yeah, the ads just pop in. And if you notice on YouTube, they pop in at the worst time. The guy, I'll be watching like bowling or baseball or football, and in the middle, the guy's about to kick the winning field goal, and he takes the snap commercial. And what it does is it fucks with your mind because you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute. Now I got to rewind it 10 seconds to get back into the moment before the stupid interruption. It's really stupid. At least on regular TV, if I'm watching a regular show, the commercial comes at the commercial break. YouTube's terrible for breaking it. I think they just time it. It's been 5 minutes. We'll run these commercials. Some of them you can skip, but if you get up to go cook something or put coffee or tea on or something, all of a sudden it'll be like a 10-minute commercial. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? Who does a 5-10 minute commercial? So I don't mind the quick 10-second ones, but when you start showing 5-minute commercials, you got to go run to the TV and hit skip. Because I'll be listening to like this or listening to crocodile or alligator, or I don't need to watch them. I just need to listen to them. Yeah, Luke, I've been buying organic berries and throwing them in your bullet. What's a bullet, Bobby? Compare organic carrots to regular. What is organic? Is that like the shit they spray it with? Because it comes out of the ground. So maybe what are they putting stuff in the ground? I don't know. But I don't eat carrots. I'll have some celery and broccoli for my salad, and then I get red leaf lettuce. I don't know. I'm not really worried about organic there. I think because I fast, so I clean myself up regardless by doing that. But I do understand some of the organics I would, like chicken maybe, non-hormone chicken I try to get. You really should get grass-fed beef, but it's so fucking expensive. I just get the regular, but I'll go to a better grocery store. That's why I go to the more expensive grocery stores only for my meat and chicken, because I know it's a better quality than at Meijer's or whatever. So I will not. To my surprise, it's the same price. There's no difference in price, really, I find. In fact, I can get hamburger at the expensive place. I just got some. It was like $5.49 if you buy 3 pounds. So I always get 3 pounds and make 8-9 hamburgers, and off I go. No hormone. Yeah. That Costco rotisserie chicken is not normal. That's not good. Yeah, the rotisserie chicken. See, I listen to this guy a lot. You should go to his channel, Dr. Stein Ekberg. He'll talk about that. But he really talks about, I found him I had diabetes and it's insulin resistance. And I just typed in, how do I get rid of insulin resistance? Or can you? And my little stupid doctor is like, oh, you can't get rid of it. He was so stupid. He doesn't understand. I said, well, my dad had it. And he says, oh, well, it's hereditary. No, type 1's hereditary. Type 2's not. Type 2's from too much sugar. So if you got diabetes from eating sugar, then pray tell, if I don't eat sugar, my sugar will drop and my diabetes will go away, which is what happened. It's always when a guy has a big stomach that sticks out, he's got diabetes, no questions asked. Mine is flat for the first time. Now Jenna keeps having high blood pressure, but she's thin, and I don't know what to tell her because she doesn't really. Well, again, it's like the 100 hours. He says he didn't fast 100 hours to lose weight. You do it to clean yourself up, which is my point that I keep trying to say. I didn't try to lose a pound, but I lost 70 because of the fasting and no sugar. And now I'm in the next stage where I can eat a little donut here and ice cream there, but I just got to keep the 18-hour fast. And once a quarter, I do a 48 or 72-hour fast. And every day is like I eat at about 11:30 and then I quit at 7. So I do that every day. And so I'm pretty clean. It's funny, I'll see all these heavy people and swim. They're doing some swim aerobics or swim running. And I just, as Bobby would say, I just shake my head and I just go, all they need to do is fast. If all these fat women and guys, these older 70, 80-year-old, 60-year-old people would just fucking fast and stop eating the high fructose corn syrup and all the sugar and the bagels and all the shit they don't understand, they would be thin, because that's why they're fat, is because what they're eating. You don't need to run around the pool. I don't run around the pool to lose weight or to stay in shape. I do it for my brain, because exercise is really healthy for your brain. So it's more for that. I'm not really trying to lose weight. If I do, I just go on a fast and stay away from sugar. And guess what? I'm losing weight because I'm not putting anything in that's going to make me gain weight. And my body's good at that. The only thing I like at Costco are the steaks. They have these really nice steaks, but it's hard for me because I'm waiting for my Russian girls to come. So I'm alone. It's hard to go to Costco where you are, you got to buy 20 cans of tuna. I don't want to buy 20 times what I need unless it's gold, because of that. So that's what I'm looking at. It's too hard for them to control true eating part. They consider it living life, so they're convinced that it's perfectly normal. That's the thing. Love Costco steaks, yes. Well, to your point, Bobby, it's until it's like they'll do that with cigarette smoking. Carmen did that. She smoked cigarettes until she needs surgery. Then she puts 2 and 2 together. Jenna is like that. Jenna's very thin, but Jenna has high blood pressure. So I keep saying, stop drinking. As I said, we're in Lviv a couple Christmases ago, and it was New Year's Eve, and we go in, and she has a few drinks, and we rush back to the hotel. She calls the doctor. She's having some attack, and she needs a shot to calm down, and she's freaking out. She probably doesn't want me to see her sick, and it's New Year's Eve, and she, so, girls wonder why I don't drink, because I know it's just like the gold. You print the money, and the money's worthless, so you buy gold. You eat, you drink a lot, you're gonna fuck your liver up, and you're gonna have high diabetes and high insulin and get sick because it's all sugar. So I don't put it in me that's why this is closed, right? I don't put it in me because I know what it'll do to me. So I don't mind having the bottle because I work there, and I love and support the brand, but why would I want to do that to myself? So I know I can look forward. Maybe it's an INFJ thing, but I am very proactive. And I called myself to the waitress yesterday. I'm a critical thinker. So I knew eating their barbecue sauce gives me gout and everything. So I always go, what's the cause? So I go eat there at the rib place, and then I come home, and the next day my feet are hurting and my knees are hurting, and it's the barbecue sauce is so sweet. And I put it on the potato, and then the salad dressing's sugary. So there's a ton of sugar I'm eating. So I brought my Ken's French, and I avoided all the sugar. So I said to her, I'm a critical thinker. I don't know if she understood it, but it was like I figure out what caused the problem and I avoid it. So I know drinking alcohol is going to be a problem. I know this shit, you can't print it to death, as the Keynesians understand. So that's why I understand and immediately can spot the Keynesian economist. They're wrong. They don't know what they're doing, just like the communist in the hot tub. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They don't know what they're talking about, the dollar. So you just turn it off. You don't believe, enough to not to believe them. And that's why, Luke asked the question initially, why do I listen to Elliger and Egon? Because they're Austrians and more libertarians and more free market, and they understand that the Federal Reserve is going to print the money and it's going to be worthless. So I get their input on things that I am not privileged to, like what's happening in Russia and other areas. That's why I listen to them. And that's why I don't listen to Rick Rude and Rickards and Maloney and all these idiots, because they don't have a fucking clue of there's a difference between paper gold and physical gold. They don't even understand that. They'll say, well, gold will go up from 2,000 to 2,100 like it did in 2008. No, it's price fixed. It's never been free market, like as I showed you, like this card. If I want to get this graded and it comes back, and this is a beautiful card, I could get a 10 on it. It looks, it's centered, it's sharp, it's corners. There's no stains. There's no ink marks. This could get a 10, probably a 9, but it could get a 10. If it did, it would be free market priced on eBay at whatever. The Willie Mays card, 75,000. So we'll say this is 100. He's Mickey. So let's say it's 100. That's the free market price. But if it's price fixed, a la this, if it's price fixed, this is not, you can't do a chart to it. You don't know what the real value of this is. And that's where I'm coming out and saying, if this is 100 grand and Willie's 75 grand, then this has got to be 75 to 100 grand, because this is worth a hell of a lot more than this. Now, there's plenty of demand. Let's look at Willie Mays. There's plenty of demand for Willie Mays. Great player, Hall of Famer. Absolutely. But there's more demand for this because all the people in China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, and Iran, and Iraq, are buying this shit. In India, they're buying this. So the demand there, now there's more supply of this, but there's a lot more demand. So that's why I say 50,000, and I'm being conservative. I think it'll be more than that. Once the shit hits the fan and it starts rolling and they break COMEX, and now it becomes a free market, they'll put 2,000, nobody will sell. They'll put 5,000, nobody will sell. They'll put 20,000, nobody will sell. I won't start selling this, if I do, until 50. That's my mark. When it hits 50, I sell it if I want to. I don't have to. Same with silver. I ain't selling it at 100, at 500, maybe 1,000, maybe. And that's just a few ounces if I need to. That's it. So I can go to the grocery store because I can't eat silver. I love that excuse. When somebody gives you that excuse, just fucking say, well, I can't go to the grocery store with this shit either. I did that to one guy in the pool. He says, well, I can't go to the grocery store with gold. I go, what are you going to use? You can't use this. This isn't, you're not going to be able to go to the grocery store with that. Sorry. That won't have a value to buy Cheerios and Lucky Charms with. So you'll sell your silver, you put it in your bank account. That's what you're going to use. And then that, or the money in the bank that isn't bailed in, is going to be switched to whatever new currency, which will hit your bank account, which will go to the store. Because let's not forget, Kroger's and all these grocery stores and Costco, they're not going to go out of business. So they will accept an alternative currency. They have to, or they're going to go out. So they will have to create this. And JP Morgan's not going to want to lose the monopoly business of printing this. So they'll print a new one. They'll come out with a song and a dance that it was the Russians or it was BRICS, whatever they want to do. And we'll be like, that's okay. We're going to keep buying gold, fellas. What are you guys talking about? Okay. I wanted to throw some tips to people I care about, but mostly hold off. It's an extremely sensitive subject. I have the best basil pesto too. Buy it. Okay. I am not the pushy type, so I back off. I like to drink and eat good food, but have to put limits on things. Well, that's what the fasting does, Bobby. You can have a drink, but I would have a drink once or twice a week, not every day. Then you do your 18-hour fast, will clean that sugar out of you, or you drink a lot of water and cleans it out. So it's not saying you can't have, like, I can have, like Saturday, I'm sure I could have a glass or two of this, and I probably wouldn't hurt me. It's the everyday ones. It's eating twice, 3 times a week, a glass. So yeah, well, your birthday, 4th of July, New Year's, not a problem, but just be careful with it. Just know what you're taking. So don't go have a pie and a cake and an ice cream and liquor. I wonder why you're sick the next day. And I work out while most of them work out a handful of times a year. It's like they don't care. No, they just don't understand. I used to buy post-workout smoothies at Smoothie King and thought and thought that I was actually doing good by not now realizing they pump a lot of sugar in them shakes, so I don't go as much anymore. Yeah, that's the big thing is all these, even 5-hour energy is bad for you. All the Gatorade, a lot of sugar in that. Really, the thing you can drink water with lemon, or you can't even have diet. Diet's loaded with aspartame. So you think, okay, I'm having diet pop, so I'm not having the sugar. You're better off with the sugar because the aspartame, that's why I keep getting gout in my foot, Crystal Light or diet pop. I think I'm not having the sugar, but it's the aspartame that gives you the cancer. And that's the real problem. So you just gotta just suck it up and have the water. And actually, I today I'm going Chinese. I might just get a regular Coke instead of a diet Coke, even though it's got sugar. Well, what's the difference? I'm eating ice cream, which is sugar, and I'm fine. I don't have any problems. Or I have a donut, once a week. So I might as well get regular Coke and at least enjoy it and not get the problem of my feet. Now I get the sugar problem, but like Bobby's saying, well, you can enjoy once in a while. But yeah, I used to do that too with the smoothies. They scam you into believing that it's low cal and low sugar. But again, we don't care about calories. We only care about sugars. General gel time today, absolutely. I will go. Well, what I do now is after this, I'll go do my swim, and then I will. It's closer to the Chinese. It's on the way to the Chinese. Then I will go to Chinese and come back, and I'll eat and turn on a movie or something. What I've been noticing, and I don't know if this is true in all your cities, we got so much fucking road construction. Oh my God, every highway there's construction, down to 1 lane, down to 2 lanes. It's and how I think they're trying to control you. You can't go this way, you can't go that way, just stay in your house. You can't go this way or take the surface roads. And even then you run into construction. 5 mile road, all have construction. They're finished. Then it's 6 mile. Then it's 7 mile. It's a fucking nightmare. All the construction on every fucking highway at the same fucking time. Are you kidding me? I used to take the highway to Chinese. Now I just take the mile road. It's the only way to do it. It's the only way. And even then there's construction on Telegraph, which is a 4-lane kind of highway, not like a major I-75 or something. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Well, it's like smoking. Carmen would smoke. Oh, nothing's going to happen to me. I think Jenna smokes too. I don't recall. And all I can do is roll my eyes going, you don't understand what you're doing to yourself. The smokers are poisoning themselves. I've never smoked. And the alcohol drinkers are fucking killing themselves. So I guess they're in such bad shape because mentally they can't handle it. So they got to go escape and have their drinks and get drunk. I remember somebody asking me here, how do you live without getting drunk? I don't need to drink. First of all, I'm not in bad shape, so I don't need an escape by drinking. I need to keep a clear head so I can analyze football and gold and everything else. And buying the gold keeps me in good shape because, okay, here's BRICS and the dollar's going away. That's fine. I got gold. I got silver. I'm not worried at all, and I'm waiting for all of it to go up. So if you can think and figure out what's going on and be proactive, you're much better off. Luke, COMEX LBMA break by end of year. Yes, free market gold, silver. Well, yeah, because COMEX will break. Like I said, my friend told me November BRICS is going to be $1 BRICS will be 55 US. That'll break it right there if it's not broken before. But yeah, I mean, you can't time it, Luke. There is no time. You can just see what's happening, and knowing BRICS is going to come out and backed by gold. Gold has to be revalued. As Alligator said, all the central banks will revalue it. He thought 2,500 in the beginning, and then 5,000, 10,000, then it's going to go to the moon. So, and the same with silver. So understand that it's happening now. It's happening as BRICS is doing their thing. The U.S. is crying because they know they're beat, and they don't know, and they don't understand because they're all Keynesian, which are communists. So they think we'll just keep printing money and nothing will happen to them. They don't understand that if you keep printing money, you turn it into ProSet, you turn it into tops, and they're not worth anything because they're way overproduced. So if you way overproduce this, this is the value of the dollar. It's now 98%, right? This is it. This is my $1 bill is reduced to this. But you don't understand that until you see it. Now, what I didn't like was alligator stole my concept. So my concept was in 1971, it took $35 to buy this. Can you imagine? $35 to buy this. Now it takes basically $2,000. I paid $2,000 for this yesterday. $2,000 to buy this. This is still an ounce of gold. This hasn't changed. The dollar shows you how bad it is, where it only took 35 to buy it. Now it's 2,000. That's the best and cleanest way you can explain inflation to anybody, because they can't deny it. They know gold was 35. They know it's 2,000. They don't understand why, but that's the thing. It's because this has lost all its fucking value except for 1%. So when you have this, right? So soon it's going to take 10,000 of these to buy this, then 20,000 of these to buy this. This is still an ounce. They didn't do anything. That's what alligator says. It's the dollar going down, not gold going up. But he's missing the second feature, which is because it's been suppressed, this price of 2,000 isn't real. This is probably 10 or 20,000 if COMEX got out of the fucking way, right? And that's what I'm saying, is it's collapsing because of what the BRICS are doing and the Russians and Chinese. And we're inflating this to zero. So JP Morgan's doing his best to keep it down because he doesn't want competition. Since I'm printing, I want you in this. And they'll say there's no competition for this. Yeah, this is the competition. But if we keep the price down, you're too stupid, because we're not going to teach you about gold or Austrian economics. So therefore you won't know. You'll think this doesn't have a price and won't go anywhere. So stay in this and buy stocks and buy bonds and buy Ritz and attack Wall Street and get Madoff and all that shit. That's what they did. But you realize if you would have done this, you wouldn't have been Madoff. You wouldn't have been attacked on Wall Street. Your stocks wouldn't have gone down. Your real estate wouldn't have gone down. Your fucking house wouldn't have gone down. But they don't want you to know gold. They want to fuck you up. And that's what they do, because the only way they can make money is by selling this bullshit product, the RIT, the annuity, put your money in the bank, and the bank steals it all. So they can't steal your money if it's in gold. If you got it and it's sitting here and you got it in your hand, there's nothing they can do. They can't do nothing, because the Russians and Chinese and all the demand for gold is not going to let it go down. It's going to go up. We know it's going up. So therefore we got a no-brainer in our hands. Why would you want to be in stock? This is going to 50,000 an ounce. And you own, Buffett just bought all those shares of GM stock. Who do you think wins? His stock's going to zero because nobody wants fucking cars now with the interest rates high, and nobody wants electric cars. So you're trying to sell a product nobody wants, which is my whole thing on Say's Law. Do you want gold? Absolutely yes. And you're going to pay whatever because you need the gold. My friend says, I got $2,000 and you buy 1 ounce. She needs the gold because the light went on. She said, I knew what you said, but I didn't have the money. And I kept saying I would make $100 out of my paycheck to buy 4 ounces of silver every week or every pay. Is there demand for this? And this is the bottom line. Is there demand for this? Yes. Is there demand for this? The whole world's de-dollarizing. They don't want it because these are bullies, because they don't understand you can't bully. Now, if you owned all the gold, you could bully. I'm not going to let you have my gold unless you do this and do that. Oh, okay. I'll do it because I need the gold. It's the only way I can get it. You can't bully with this because this is worthless. So 80 countries want to join BRICS because they're tired of being bullied. And they know BRICS is coming out the new currency backed by gold. So they have to make the gold price high enough for all the currency. But everybody's comfortable going, oh, well, if it's backed by gold, then I'll buy it. Because Russia and China aren't controlling it. The price of gold is. We know how limited gold is. So therefore, we know the price. When it hits 50,000, we know it's going up. We know it's not going down because you can't print gold like you can print dollars. And we don't want the U.S. We're tired of the U.S. telling us what to do. And I'll tell you, in Portugal, they didn't like being U.S. They weren't kissing my ass. And the same in Spain and Barcelona. I didn't get a big, because I'm from America or U.S. anything. So it's the U.S., Canada, and Britain against everybody else, and everybody else is going to win. Comics, yeah, I mean, well, we'll see, Luke. I mean, hopefully, again, we can't put the price on it, but we know it's going away. So that's how you got to think. Actually, the longer it takes, the more gold and silver you can buy at these prices, right? So I bought 4 ounces yesterday. If gold had already gone up to 50,000, I'm not buying. I'm buying a quarter ounce. That's it. $55 brick makes gold US 100,000. I don't know if it works like that. It's one brick will buy you $55. You'll need $55 to buy 1 brick dollar. So yes, if gold's priced in dollars, so 1 brick gold times 55, yeah, that makes about right. $100 silver coming soon, $500 silver coming soon, Bobby. I think gold, silver mining stocks are going to go ballistic once COMEX breaks. Could they get nationalized though? Well, first of all, the market's crashing, so it'll be every stock, right? You're going to sell your stock because you need money, because 99% of the U.S. Canadian public are idiots. They don't understand anything that I'm teaching, and so therefore they don't see the end. They don't see the need. So when their dollar goes to zero, the point is, what do? They're going to sell their assets. That's all they can do. That's why these idiots are bitching about deflation, because you're going to sell your house at anything you can get it. So just like gold, if gold's at 2,000, yeah, it really stopped me from buying 4 ounces, $2,000 gold. If it was 3,000, I would have bought 3 ounces until it becomes 10,000 an ounce. I'm probably not buying ounces. I'm buying quarter ounces at that point. But you'll pay anything. So when you're losing all your money because you've got it in the fucking Titanic here, and you're losing your money, what are you going to do? Well, the first thing you're going to do, I got to sell my assets. But you don't want to sell your gold because it's not valued right. So you're going to sell your house, maybe your car, because you got to eat and rent and everything else. And you got to get out of your house because you can't afford it. So you're going to sell your house. So it's a $500,000 house. You can't get 500,000 because of these high interest rates. So you're trapped. You'll take whatever you can get because you need money, because you weren't smart enough. You're still in this, and this is at the bottom of the ocean. So that's the thing. Oh, one quick note on the Titanic. It was women and children first, but it wasn't no men. It was women and children first, and then the men. So they fucked up that order too. So when the guy leaves his wife and kid and whatever, the father, husband should have been on the boat also. They weren't only women and children. It was women and children first. And if there's room, the men are supposed to get on the boats. So that order was fucked up. But anyway, yeah, if you're trapped and you are so smart that you understand that you've got your money in this, so good luck with Buffett, right? He's got a $2 billion in this. What's that going to buy him? Nothing. Good luck with your stocks. What are you going to do with your stocks? So you got, 1,000 shares of Microsoft. What good is it? Because all of a sudden, all their assets are worthless because there's no value anymore. So what do you sell the Microsoft computer for? Because you don't have a currency to sell it in. And that's where this guy comes in. He said, I got a quarter ounce for a car, right? And you run a Toyota, you run a Mercedes. Mercedes might be a half ounce. And they're going to be desperate to sell their cars because they still have the building and the labor, the material that they've already bought, that the only way they can get it out is to make sales. So they're going to take sales, but they can't take money because it doesn't have a value. And they're fucked until the money has value. This car goes up 100 times because it's an asset and there's still demand for mantle. It's separate from this. These have nothing in comparison. This is priced in dollars. Like this is priced in dollars. So all three are priced in dollars, right? But when the dollar goes to zero, this will probably get priced in gold. Gold is its own dollar. So gold gets priced in gold. So gold is safe because you don't need it priced in dollar. Mantle then gets priced in gold. So a half ounce buys the card. That's how that'll work. Your Rolex will get priced in gold. So all your big assets will be priced in gold. Ergo, the house gets priced in gold. What is the price of gold? Well, it's a hell of a lot more than what it is now. That's kind of what's going to happen and why holding gold so valuable, because when the dollar goes to zero, go ask people in Venezuela or Sri Lanka or Turkey what they're doing, you're fucked. The euro's next, how that's still going, and the yen's right after that. So when the yen and the euro go, there's going to be a lot of assets in Japan and in Europe that are going to be real cheap because people will need to sell them. So time to go to Amsterdam when that happens, Bobby. But that's really what it is. So the reason you buy gold, you can't print it. There's no, as they say, counterparty risk. In other words, the government owns this and they print it and they kill the value. And it's a debt from the government that says, I'm going to pay Walmart or Costco because you bought steak. You're really not paying it. This is debt. This is not debt. Believe me, Costco would much rather have this than this all day. Now, no, you're not going to go into Costco with one of these worth $50,000 and buy bread and butter. That's why you sell it. That's why there always must be a medium of exchange, which should be backed by gold. But in the event that, how are you going to buy milk and bread and you have this? You don't take this. You sell this to get whatever this paper is going to be. That goes into your account. That goes on your debit card. And then you go to Kroger's selling this for whatever this currency. That's why you always have to have a medium of exchange. And what happened to the Romans is they were doing gold and silver until it's called the basement, where they took all the gold. So let's say what the Romans did, this is 1 ounce of gold. They started taking, now it's a half ounce, now it's a quarter ounce, now it's a tenth of an ounce, until it was all copper. And there was no gold left in the gold in the money. So the money lost its value because people, even back in Roman times, knew it was gold. So that's what they did. They eventually took the whole ounce of gold out of the gold ounce. And therefore it had no value. The only reason it has value is it's gold. The only reason the BRICS currency, anybody wants it, is because it's gold. The only reason you don't want this is because the BRICS currency is backed by gold, and this is backed by toilet paper. And that's really what's happening to us now. So yes, the mining stocks would be a good value, but what I would do, Luke, is buy this. I'd buy this instead of the mining stocks right now, but I do understand what you're saying. And mostly because the inventory will go through the roof. So what's going to happen to the mine is your real question. Will the government realize that they boot all the communists out and the Keynesians, and they bring back me and Adam Smith, and we go, the only way we're going to stay alive is we need currency backed by gold. So let's go to the gold mines and take their gold because we need it for the dollar. And that's your question, Luke. And that's a good question. Will the government take the gold out of their mines? So the thought is, well, they'll take our gold. And then you realize there's only 0.5% of the people in the world have gold. And most of the central banks have the James Bond big fucking bar. So they don't know I got 4 ounces or 44 ounces, and they don't know. What are they going to knock on my door? I'm not letting them in. So they don't really know who has it. Their point is, well, when people try to sell it, we'll tax them. What are you going to tax me in? Your money's useless. You can't tax me that. How am I going to get paid for my job? I'd prefer, as I told you, Bobby, is get paid in gold. If I was you, I'd have my attorney restructure that contract you have and take fucking gold and silver and not dollars. What the fuck are you going to do with the dollars when they're worthless? And they're all inflated anyway. So even if you're getting $1 million a year, you're getting 500,000. You're not getting your full amount. So I would definitely be asking for gold. You said some of your friends do Bitcoin. I wouldn't do Bitcoin, but I would do gold and silver. And at worst case, as you get your check, turn it into gold. You know, weave it, be Rumpelstiltskin, and turn your toilet paper into gold and weave that. That's what I would do if I were you. But that's the whole point. So people will sell their stocks because that's their asset. All the real estate trusts go out. Your houses loses value because interest rates go up because I got to charge more because my dollar is worthless. What's the interest rate in Venezuela? I'm curious. Well, let's take a look. Interest rates in Venezuela. I should ask, is Warren Buffett an idiot? See what it tells me. Interest rates in Venezuela. Interest rate in Venezuela is 36%. You want to buy a car, you're paying 36%. It went up to 108%. And who knows when the minimum was. Now let's do. Here you go. So I did interest rates. 50%. How are you going to sell your house when your interest rate's 50%? Venezuela bank lending rate was reported at 50.93% in July 2023, so last month. This records an increase from the previous number of 48%. Venezuela bank lending rate data is updated daily, averaging 21% from Jan 2004 to July. We don't care about the average. The data reached an all-time high of 58%. So you want to sell your house and you need a mortgage. and the buyer to buy your house is 58%. How many people you got buying your house? That's what inflation does. 58%. So you think it's high now at 8%? You want to go buy a car? How the fuck are you buying a car at 58%? What are you going to pay? $5,000 a month for a Buick? Or you buy a house for $500,000 and you pay 58%? Well, what's your rate? It was going to be $10,000 a month. That's what inflation does. That's why Alligator and Egon say the Fed doesn't control interest rates. They don't. The inflation controls it. Venezuela has huge inflation, and look at the interest rates. Because you'd be out of your mind to loan the money. If I loan you 20 grand, I'm getting paid back in inflated dollars. If you gave me back 20 grand in 2 years, I'm only getting 5, maybe 6,000 of the 20 grand. Why would I want to do that? So the best thing you can do is borrow now when the rates are low, because they're going to go up and you're going to pay back in inflated dollars. You don't want to loan. If you're going to loan money out, do this, please. Buy gold. I told every company I worked at to buy gold. They don't listen. They're all smarter than me. Okay, we'll see who gets the last laugh. Bobby, 2024 predictions: gold to 50K, silver to 2K, and Barry gets in the Hall of Fame. There you go. Asset prices will get smashed at 50%. Exactly, because it's coordinated with price plus interest rates. So if the house is $500,000 at 3%, and now interest rates are at what, 10%, the house has to go down to correlate because nobody can afford it. Also, it causes a recession and a depression. As costs go up, you buy less because you don't have the printing press. You're not making money. So as costs go up, it's the dollar dropping in value because of the inflation. Shouldn't this go up? Why isn't it? Oh, you mean COVAX is price fixing this? And how long is that going to last as the rest of the world is buying this hand over fist? So as all the other assets, as all the other things, the Oreo cookies are $5 a box. As everything goes up, because the dollar is the one losing value. That's why Alligator and Egon say it's not the dollar going up. It's not gold going up. It's the dollar going down. As we say, it's both. It's gold will go up because it's been held down. And as the dollar goes down, gold will go up. So gold's not where it should be. That's my bitch. And that's what I say when I walk in, and I spent $2,000 on this yesterday. And all I could do is laugh like the Joker. I'm like, I'm buying $10,000 an ounce gold for $2,000. As much as that's why it's like I don't want to keep money in the savings. So if I keep $10,000 in the savings as opposed to buying gold, so I spent $8,000 yesterday. What's this going to be worth? I got $8,000 in the bank. A, can I even get it out? B, it's not going to go up in value. It's going down. So if you're looking at buying a stock because you want to make money, how the fuck are you making money when the value of the stock is going down because the value of the money is going down? So Warren Buffett just bought all this GM stock. Well, guess what, Warren? GM can't fucking sell a vehicle when interest rates are 50%. Who's buying a car and paying $5,000 a month? You know, it's already $1,000 a month at Toyota. Now, I mean, and interest rates are 7-8%. What are you going to do? How many people are actually going to pay off their car? There's going to be a lot of cars turned into the dealership because they won't be able to pay it. But guess what else you can't pay? Here comes a big recession coming. So that's the other reason I'm kind of like, how much money do I need in the safe? And how much money do I buy gold with? So I kind of put a little in the safe, the rest in the gold. That's it. No stocks. They're not going to last. Of course, no bonds. They're not going to last. Nobody wants them. You got $33 trillion in debt. Don't worry. I'll pay you back, Howard. I'm the U.S. government. Yeah, I got $33 trillion in debt, but not a problem. We'll pay you back. How are you going to pay me back? We're going to print more money and then makes that money even worth less. I don't want your bonds. So that's the tricky part about be careful in the bank if you have money and they say, well, you can't get it out, but we'll give you bonds instead. Then just fucking run. Get your money out. That's why it's better in a safe than it is in the bank. You have it, right? I have the money. And if I need to switch it to new money, I switch it for the new money. Then I take 10 grand and I go to the bank and say, give me the new money and I'll put that in my safe. Or if they won't do that, you take the money and you go buy gold with it. Now you got more gold and the money you have is worthless anyway. This is what is the most valuable part of what I'm teaching here. You cannot just be, it's like we talked about with the health. Carmen smokes cigarettes. Next thing you know, she needs an operation because she's been smoking poison. But she doesn't understand it. Or as Bobby said, these people that are fat and they just eat and they go, well, it doesn't matter. They don't get it. And then they're all fat and they're all diabetic and they're all having, cancer and they're all having heart problems and strokes because of what they're eating. They don't get it. Well, this is what you're getting is get out the fucking dollar like you stop eating sugar, right? It's the same thing. You eat the sugar, you're going to get fat and unhealthy. You can go to a run class or swim class and you're 350 pounds. It ain't going to help you. You can have $300,000 in dollars. It's not going to help you because it's not worth crap. What you want is 300,000 in gold. So as I said, I hit my goal of 50. I know I had a little bit more, but there's the girls. So 50, now I'm at 54. So my next goal is 75 and my ultimate goal is 100. Then if I can get through that, then my next goal will be 1 ton, which is 32,000 ounces. I always wanted to have a ton of gold, maybe a ton of silver. That's the goal. That's our group goal, 1 ton, 32,000 ounces. Isn't that scary that Russia has 25,000 tons of gold and they keep producing it and making more and more? So when they're in the mine pulling it out, it goes in. So they have more and more and more and more. And it's 32,000 ounces to each ton. They have 25,000 tons. You don't think they want the gold price to go up? And China's got more. They got like, I don't know, 50, 60,000. I keep hearing 60, then I hear 50, and then I hear 40. Let's call it 50,000 tons. At 32,000 ounces a ton, yeah, they want the price to go up. The one person that has no gold is the fucking U.S., so who probably doesn't want gold to go up because they don't have any. They're beyond stupid. We have the dumbest government I've ever seen. And I heard an interesting thing from Mark McGuire yesterday where he said, what happens is, it's like I'll use Putin as the example. He hires a bunch of idiots, therefore nobody can kill him and take his place because they're not qualified and they're not good. So they won't kill him because they can't lead. So he hires a bunch of incompetents on the Russian government and nobody can take it. And he runs everything on his own. And that's basically what the U.S. does. This Miley and this other Lloyd Austin and all these other idiots, they don't know what they're doing. And it's quite obvious when you listen to them and this other guy at the border and everything else. So the border situation is about these nationalist oligarchs, the Gates and the Buffets and all these BlackRock Finks and all these other guys trying to destroy the world, trying to control the world. So they want to destroy America by letting all these people in. They think then America won't be America, it'll be Mexican and all these others, but they don't get it. When the people come in, they turn American. They want to come to America to be an American. They don't want to come here or not. But in the other part of the world, in Britain and in Germany and Europe, where they're letting all the Muslims and Middle Eastern in, they don't want to be British. They just want the freedom, and they're a bunch of crooks. And they're destroying, and Britain's all destroyed, and so is Germany's getting destroyed, and France is fighting back. That's what the riots are. Spain That's why Portugal, you got to learn Portuguese. Though the Muslims in the Middle Eastern don't want to learn Portuguese. I know I don't want to learn it. And they're very strong, they don't want outsiders. Russian and Ukraine, I got bitched at. I'm in Ukraine with Jenna at her city, and guys would come up to me going, why don't you date American girls? And I'm going, well, they don't look like this. And they're very, they're not nice to be with. So I don't date American girls. I prefer the Russian, Ukraine, but the guys get jealous because we got money and we know we treat the girls much better than they're being treated by the guys. So they get very offended. In Romania, it happened too, where they're like, why don't you date American girls? Stop taking our girls is what they were saying. So they probably make money on their girls, I assume, but they get mad at you for dating their girls. And that's the thing. And here, who knows? We're all Americans. We're so diverse. It doesn't matter. Asset prices will get smashed. Absolutely. That's why everybody's scared of deflation. It's because of the inflation causing the interest rates up, which it's only people that have to sell. So if you're in a $500,000 house and you own all the gold, you don't have to sell your house. It's still worth $500,000. What $500,000 means, I don't know, because as the dollar goes out, it'll be worth 2 ounces of gold, let's say, and then you don't have to sell it. So it's only people that have to sell their assets will get smashed. The whole system is on eggshells, gold standard coming. Yeah, it's supposed to have crashed in 2008, and they kept it going, and now it can't go anymore. But we're very lucky because we can still buy gold even at $2,000 an ounce. That's why I run and buy as much as I can. I basically emptied my IRA, which is what I suggest. I don't want stocks because they're going to crash. And that's why I talk about assault on Wall Street. If the guy would have bought gold for $60,000 in 2008, it was like $400 or $500 an ounce. Turned into like $1,000 an ounce in 2010. He'd have made it turned into $110,000. If all the Madoff people would have bought gold, they'd have made a ton. Instead, they wanted cheap money. They knew he was scamming them, but they didn't care because they kept getting paid. What you don't want in the scam is sort of like these other TV shows where you think you're buying the Brooklyn Bridge and you give the guy $1 million and then he disappears. What was that show called? I don't know. I got it. It was a pretty good show, but so that's the scam you don't want, when you give a guy $1 million and you're buying the Brooklyn Bridge and then nope, you didn't buy it. Sorry. And you lost your $1 million. Well, Madoff was actually giving them money back. So you gave Madoff $60,000 and he'd give you back, here's $2,000 a month, and he keeps giving you back. So you think, oh, okay, I'm fine, and I'm getting something back. It can't be a Ponzi scheme. Well, that's the difference between a Ponzi scheme and the con artist who sells you the Brooklyn Bridge for $1 million. He's gone with your $1 million. The Ponzi scheme, at least you're getting money back. Now, I would say 99% of the people in the Buffett, the Buffett Ponzi scheme, that's that too. But the Madoff Ponzi scheme knew it was a Ponzi scheme. How can I keep getting paid? Every month he keeps making money. Well, they know something is wrong, but they don't know what it is, but they don't care because they keep getting paid out. Then at the end, when there's no more money, is when they start crying, much like the Brooklyn Bridge. So that's the point of it. So people will keep their money in the bank until they get rolled in and they can't get their money out, or what is it? Banked out, rolled out. Anyway, until they won't be able to get their money out, then they'll start crying. Oh, I can't get my money out. Well, we tried telling you that's why you buy gold, because you don't worry about it. And it's going to go up. And there's no risk. Where else can you buy a zero risk? We'll call it an investment. Where else can you get that? So not only are you getting out of the dollar, which is going down, which nobody understands. You're being made off where the money's going down. Nobody understands that. Then you buy gold, which cannot go to zero. You have no risk in gold and a huge risk in this and a huge risk in stocks and a huge risk in bonds and real estate trusts and just putting your money in a CD, but you don't see it. So you don't know it. And therefore you don't do anything about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's the thing. We're ahead of the curve, and we just have to have faith that when's it going to happen? It's not when, and it's not if. And that you heard Mark McGuire say that too. It is going to happen. It's just when, not if. And that's what you got to understand. And even if it takes 6 months or a year, who cares? You can't worry about it. You get out of your toilet paper. That's why I use Titanic. It hit the iceberg. It's already hit. The water's coming in. And there's Luke going, when are we going to sink? When's the boat sinking? Does it matter? You know the boat's sinking. Does it matter when it sinks? Right? Just go get on a lifeboat. Well, when's the economy crashing? We don't know. Get on the lifeboat. So that's about the closest comparison as I can make. Get off the Titanic sinking. We know it will. The water's coming in. They're printing the dollars. It's fucked. Get on the lifeboat. That's all. That's the closest comparison I can make to what is reality. And no, this is not an opinion. This is exactly what's going to happen. And that's why I bring in the other guys to tell you, yeah, this is what Howard's right. That's what's going to happen. Sort of like my cousin Vinny, when they understand the tire tracks had to be made by a different car, and then he brings up the scientist and he says, well, what did I tell you? And he says, yep, you're absolutely right. That's what I'm kind of doing. I'm kind of being I'm kind of being Vinny, going, am I right? Alligator, Egon, right? I'm right. Anyway, I was disappointed in that movie that Herman didn't do some Herman stuff, didn't start pounding the desk and making the desk go down and throw a football 5 miles or something. I was disappointed he didn't, Lily and Grandpa weren't in the movie. Anyway, I guess that's about it. So we went through baseball. Football, we will go through tomorrow. The analysis of what we saw today. So I'm looking for quarterback play. If he throws the 6 completions, is it for 6 yards or 60? That's what you're really looking for now. Is the guy know how to throw down the field, or is he just going to throw under the zone? And that's what you'll see Fields do that tonight. 4 of 12 for 4 yards, and then he'll run for 100. You'll see with Richardson, I bet I'll give him, I don't even know if he'll throw it 10 times. He'll probably do the first series. So let's say he goes 3 of 6 for 4 yards, and he'll run 3 times for 15 yards. That'll be Richardson's slot, and probably an interception. But that's C.J. Stroud. He's already gone. I mean, he's a bust. In one game, he's a bust because he couldn't read the safety. It's not something you just can read. It's like, Bobby, you can say, it's like picking up a curveball. You either can pick a curveball up or you can't. You can't learn it. So you can hit the fastball, or can you hit the fastball? Either you can hit it or you can't. It's all subconscious. You can't learn it. When I played, I don't know how I hit the ball. I saw the ball and I aimed for what I saw. I never saw the bat hit the ball because it's way too fast, yet I could hit the shit out of the ball. I was a very good hitter, but I never saw the bat hit the ball once. I just saw the ball coming in and I could hit it. Either you can do it or you can't, but you can't teach it. And that's exactly the problem with C.J. Stroud and Field. You cannot teach where's the safety. You cannot teach timing. You either have it or you don't. Joe Montana, I guarantee you, wasn't taught, and Tom Brady wasn't taught. They just could do it. Aaron Rodgers can just do it. I guarantee you he can't tell you how he does it. He just has a feel where the receiver is, where the safety is, and he throws it. And that's what Rising has, and Hartman and Van Dyke. And these guys have the feel. And what I bitch about with the Ohio State and Alabama, they don't teach them the field. They don't know how to feel the throw and the defense. They just count and they throw it to a spot, and they have fast receivers going against not fast cornerbacks, and they look like stars. And that's just bullshit. You gotta feel it. That's how you hit a baseball. That's how you hit a golf ball. You can't watch the club hit the ball. It's way too. It all happens way too fast. The only difference is the ball is sitting there. Where in baseball, the ball is coming at you. But in golf, either you can golf, you roll your wrist. I'm a good golf teacher too. I know you're all surprised. So you take your wrist and you roll your wrist. That's how you play golf. Most people who slice do this and they don't turn the wrist over because they're afraid. These are the people who won't buy gold. They won't turn the wrist over. So if you want to play golf, you go back. Then as you start your downswing, you roll the wrist, and this should roll at impact. So it's the timing of this roll at the ball. You cannot teach that. Either you can roll the wrist at impact, you feel the timing, or you can't. It can't be taught. I read Nicholas's book. You can't teach it. You either feel it or you don't. And that's why I get with the Ohio State and the Alabama quarterbacks. You can't teach Fields how to throw, when to throw. JT Barrett, these other runs earlier, Kirk Herbstreit, whatever the Herbstreit guy name is. He sucked. He sucked at Ohio State. Ricky Leach at Michigan, great runner, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He ended up playing baseball in the Tigers because he wasn't going to be a quarterback. Why didn't he learn it under Bo? Because you can't learn it. It's something you have. That's why I like Rising. That's why I like Hartman, Van Dyke. They can do it. And I think maybe that's why they go to these running quarterbacks, because they realize they can't teach Lamar Jackson how to throw. He can never get the feel. He doesn't know how to get the feel. So therefore, we'll run with them. At least we can get yardage. Why you pay the guy so much money is beyond me. He'll never get it. Richardson will never get it, but Stenson Benson gets it. Thompson, Robinson gets it. Those guys get it, right? That's the thing. Penix gets it. Bo Nix gets it. Like I say, does Williams get it? That I don't know yet. I'm not sure. His is a system. And all these Oklahoma guys, Mayfield, Hurts, Kyler Murray, none of them are any good because they don't feel it. They just ran when it was open. Mayfield struggling on Tampa. Trask is better because Trask gets it. He got it at Florida. So that's kind of how I determine the quarterbacks, because they get the feel. I'm just starting to understand how I got it, but I knew I got it. And that's really what it is. I think stocks will continue. They'll just be priced in a new gold-backed dollar after the crash. Yeah, I mean, the reason they're going to crash is because all these foreigners taking the money out of U.S. dollars. Now, is Microsoft a stock in Europe? Oh, probably. I think people in Germany, well, I don't know if you need to buy it in U.S. or not. But your real question is, will these companies remain? And that's where your answer is they'll have to convert their money into gold or into BRICS currency, because the dollar will go out and then there'll be the new dollar. So it's up to the government to come out with a new dollar backed by gold, which is where they might steal the gold from the mines. That could be. But there should be a stock market, but you've never... What did we do in the 1800s when they had the Civil War and they basically, the greenback was worthless. They printed it and they didn't use, it's not the same dollar used then as used now. This is from 1913. This is the Federal Reserve note. We were the most prosperous country ever because we used gold from like 18 something to 19 something to 1912. That's why in the 1800s we were prosperous, because the 49er gold rush and the Boomer Soomers in Oklahoma, they produced a lot of football teams, but it was all gold, and then they prospered because of gold. They couldn't print gold. That's the beauty of it. It's never been worth zero, so you can't worry about it. It wasn't worth zero in Rome, and it wasn't worth zero in the 1800s in Kentucky. So that's why you have a no-brainer, no-risk gold. That's why I tell you to buy it. I don't just make things up or get lucky. I have a lot of objectivity when I'm thinking of what to do. That was my first thought. As soon as Biden came in and he started printing $10 trillion, my first thought was getting out of the dollar, because I know it's inflated. And then what do I buy? And then when I couldn't buy another currency because they're all being fucked, the euro, the Swiss franc. So it's not like I could buy those because they're all going to end up zero, is when I started buying gold more heavily. I always had some gold, but I had more of these cards. This is my gold right here. And as I say, when I started seriously collecting, I did a little in the 60s. And then when I got married in the 90s, we started going to card shows and buying cards. And, and like this one, I probably paid $100 for it, and it's going to be worth a ton, especially even a 9. It's going to be worth a ton. So that's what I was doing, was buying assets. And now that's the one thing I knew. That's how you avoid getting crushed by this going to zero, is by buying assets. So it's that, it's this is what you buy. This will keep us alive and in a good situation. And we're going to use this to buy a house or a car or move to Lisbon or Switzerland or somewhere. Like I said, I put this in my pocket. You don't know I have it. And Luke, you're gonna have your big box of silver that's worth 1/10 of what the gold is. So if the gold's 50,000, the ounce of silver is 5,000. So maybe you don't bring your whole box, but you're gonna need a place to hide it. Unless you take it to Europe and ship it there or whatever. But Switzerland looks appealing, as does Portugal, to get the fuck out. You can't really live in China or Russia. There's communist. They're smart enough to understand gold, but they don't really. Maybe Russia's a little bit better, but I'm not moving to Russia. Daria works like from 8 to 8 every day, or 5 days a week. So I don't, and she doesn't get paid much. So I'm not running, but I won't need to with the gold. I won't need to work there. So we'll see. But she wants to get out of there. She understands BRICS. She understands FX. Very smart girl. She understands gold, that's for sure. Anyway, I think that's about it. 3.5 hours. I'm talked out. Time for go swimming and general chowing. And that's about it. So any other questions, Luke, Bobby? Yeah, I'm not saying stocks will not continue, but they will crash because people need money and they will have to get out of their assets to buy it unless they're smart enough to buy this. The little deer. Thank you, Luke. You have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Bobby, what are you cooking? Pig's ears for dinner? What are you doing for dinner? Chinese? You can't general chow. You don't like the Chinese slice. Hell yeah, time for general chow. Yeah, I'll show you tomorrow because I never eat it all. It's too much. I got this plastic bowl, the big plastic Ziploc bowls you put your fruit in. So when I was fasting a couple of weeks ago, I got it because they closed Sunday, but I did my 48-hour fast. 47-hour was I ate Friday night, I didn't eat Saturday, and I didn't eat Sunday till dinner. So I took the container of the General Chow, and I knew I couldn't eat it. So I put it in the big plastic Ziploc bowl, right, where you put like a whole watermelon in, and it filled the bowl with the General Chow and the broccoli. I couldn't believe how much they fucking give me. A whole fucking bowl. No wonder I can't eat it in one time. Plus, I'm avoiding a lot of the foods that are making me hungry, like the Oreos and Chips Ahoy and stuff. And the chips, it's amazing when you stop eating that and you put a salad in front of your face and a piece of steak, and it's like you can't even finish it. Where before you eat it because you have that hunger pangs in you, so you avoid that. All right, so we'll talk football tomorrow. College, we'll start talking. I'm going to try to give this to the gold guy for like 25 ounces of gold, $50,000 for this card. Now, it's not graded, but he'll have no problem selling this card in his shop. He can say, look, it's a PSA 10. It's worth $100,000. Maybe somebody will give it to him, but people who are going there are buying assets. They're buying gold and silver. So they understand if they're buying gold and silver, they're getting out of the dollar. Although some people, I'm unique because I'm buying it to get out of the dollar. Most people are getting it because they need money to pay their bills. So they take their gold and they get, he sells it to them at spot. They get the 1930 and they go from there. So that's it. I mean, it's basically they're selling for the wrong reason, and a lot of those people are going to have heart attacks. When gold hits 20, 30,000 an ounce and they sold it to this guy for 1950, man, people are going to be killing themselves because they have it, right? So if I let this go at 1950 and it hits 50,000, I just took 200,000 and turned it into 8,000. I'm going to kill myself. So I'm avoiding a lot of suicides here by not letting you sell it until it's at least 25, 30 grand, and only if you got a nice house you can buy or a nice car. But anyway, so that's what's going to happen. Interest rates will go to the moon like Venezuela. It's just what happened. Why would I lend money out if it's all worthless and becoming worth less and less? So anyway, have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow about the same time, about 11:30. www.teaserking.com. If you want to buy some football packages, please let me know. You'll get my email there if you want to do it and you want to pay me, it's $600. How about if I give you 2 $300s? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. That's fine. So anyway, let me know. You can email me or you'll catch me here tomorrow. But this is how you do a live show. Luke asked me a question, I answered. Bobby asked me a question. Half these idiots, they get all these questions and they don't answer any of them. You're welcome, Bobby. Jerry, hi Jerry. Do you think Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy for Miami this year? How about his brother at Maryland this year? No, Jerry, I don't think he can. I think he's injury prone and he's got a bunch of concussions. So I'd be surprised if he plays the whole year. His brother is not really good. I've named 10 quarterbacks better than him. See, again, at Alabama, it's all system. That's why Tag looked good. His brother is not, shows in Maryland. He throws a lot of interceptions, way too many. Let's go to Maryland. So real quick, a really quick point of what I'm saying. So we go to the all right, so let's go to Maryland. All right. Maryland was probably first. Yeah. All right, so let's look at Tagliabue's little brother. Last year, he was 262 completions and 391 attempts for 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 8 picks. You know, a lot of these guys, like Rising, was probably 30-some touchdowns and 5 picks at Utah, and Williams was probably 45 at Oklahoma, but that at USC, but that doesn't count. More like Hartman was like 40 and 5 for Wake Forest at Notre Dame. So I don't think Tagliabue's brother is any good. Like I said, it's Rising, Hartman, and Van Dyke, and then you've got J.K. Jefferson at Arkansas, Frank Harris at UTSA. Then you got Penix, Williams. It's a system thing. We'll see. And like I said, so it's Rising, Hartman, and Van Dyke are your top 3. I wouldn't put Tua's brother anywhere near that. He's nowhere near that. And neither is Richardson. Stroud and Young are nowhere near those 3. So there's about 10 good quarterbacks. Like I said, the kid out of Tulane is really good. Trying to think. That's about nobody in the Big Ten. Maybe some more. The starter at TCU was the starter last year, gets hurt. Duggan comes in. I'm surprised nobody grabbed Duggan. And then here comes the other, Stenson Bennett. It's much better. So I don't like Tagliabue, and I don't like his brother. Again, I don't like Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks because it's the system and or Oklahoma quarterbacks. I like when Rising or Van Dyke or Hartman step into a situation where it's not the system, and then they light it up. Utah was struggling. So was Miami. Remember, Miami had Derek King there in his 6th year, and he sucked, and they were losing. They barely beat Michigan State and Appalachian State. Van Dyke comes in and lights it up. Well, that's not the system. That's the quarterback. Rising did the same thing at Utah. They were doing nothing. Rising comes in, boom, 40 points a game. That's not the system. At Oklahoma, they just want a fast quarterback. Radler couldn't do anything. Now he's doing better at South Carolina, but he wasn't a fast runner. That's why he didn't work at Oklahoma. So it's a pure system thing. So that's why I don't say that. Penix, I think, will be good, but even that's kind of a system. It's the Fresno State system, but I think Tennessee's quarterbacks are good. TCU's quarterbacks, Baylor's, those they learn how to quarter. Oklahoma, Gabriel will be very good. So those are the guys I would be drafting, not Tagliabue at Maryland. He doesn't show me anything. And if he was that good, why did he leave Alabama? So I don't think he's in, just because he's his brother. I don't think Tagliabue is any good. Thanks for the analysis. I think Florida State's quarterback, Travis, is really good and will win the Heisman. He won't win the Heisman, but I think he's good. I don't like LSU's quarterback as much. He runs too much, but I do like Travis. I don't like the North Carolina quarterback, but I do like the Duke's quarterback. Duke's guy, Riley Leonard, looked very good last year. Watch him against Clemson. He could beat Clemson because they don't have a good quarterback. And we know Buglia went to Oregon State from Clemson. He's gonna stink that place up like he stunk. If you couldn't be good at Clemson, here's my point. If you're not good at Clemson, you're not going to be good at Oregon State. And if you're not good in college, you're not going to be good in the pros. How can you be better in a more competitive league than college? That's my point. And so that's how I measure it. Alabama, I measure against LSU and Georgia. Ohio State, I measure against Michigan and Penn State. And if you don't produce in those games, which C.J. Stroud didn't, well, he's going to do better in the pros than he could do against Michigan and Penn State? Really? So that's bullshit. And Alabama was the same way. They got their stats against Ole Miss and Memphis and, Texas Tech. But when they had to play Clemson and Georgia and LSU, they didn't show up. So that's my Trevor Lawrence never showed up against Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama. So and he did against Ohio State running the ball. He couldn't even pay. Wasn't even 50% throwing. So against the better defense, these guys aren't going to show up. And that's my thing with the Lions. They got a lot of wins last year against the Bears, the Vikings, and the Packers. They got 5 wins in their division against teams with no defense. Oh, look how good they are. Yeah, as soon as they play defensive teams, and we'll see if I don't know if Green Bay, Minnesota, or the Bears got any better defensively, but they got to play Baltimore this year. That's a shutout. They got shut out by New England last year. Dallas killed them. So when they face good defensive teams, the Lions won't do anything. So they'll get a couple of wins against the Bears, Packers, and Vikings. So I give them 4 wins, maybe 5, and that's it. Outside the division, maybe they can beat Oakland. And I pray they're a dog to Denver, or Denver's the dog. That'll be a lock. I can get Denver and Russell Wilson, Sean Payton against the Lions. I'll take it every day of the week. All right, I guess that's it. But no, to answer your question, but I like the question. It's a good question. But like I said, he won't last. Miami, if you want to bet the Jets to win the division, bet the Jets and Denver in the AFC Championship game. The Jets could go to the Super Bowl. You got Green Bay's offense and the Niner defense, and that's pretty fucking strong. And I don't think Josh Allen can handle it. I don't think he handled it last year. I think the Jets just didn't have a quarterback. Now they got Aaron Rodgers. Look out. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. We got a couple weeks, as Bobby's pointed out. And then here comes the real action. So I will analyze tonight's pro games. And I'll tell you now, the teams that play their starters are way ahead of the teams that are. I'm afraid he'll get hurt. It's almost like Animal House. What are we going to do? Just sit here and do nothing? Oh, blue toe. I don't, it's the same thing. You got to have balls and say, I need the practice Russell Wilson. And that's what Sean Payton did. And even they did it in Pittsburgh. Pickett started or played. If you watch Mahomes, I bet he plays a series tonight. He wants to play. I'm not worried about getting hurt. Fuck, if you worry about getting hurt, go play tennis or something. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. Off to the pool, off the Chinese, and General Chow. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much. I hope you learned. Please feel free to email me, www.teaserking.com, with any gold or other type of questions. All right.